the space to put them, and then you need to actually facilitate the return to the country where they came from. I mean, that is not something you can just do with the snap of the fingers. Secondly, there are the humanitarian concerns that I totally get. As a Christian, I am sympathetic to the fact that these people are trying to come to the United States to live a better life. But again, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. We have to be a country of laws. We have to have we are a country that needs borders. All of those are critically important for us to function as a sovereign country. And so, yes, I truly understand. And then to your last point, just the attitude of Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom that, go away, we've got this under control. Clearly, you do not have it under control. You are, a significant part of the problem by being a sanctuary city, by being a sanctuary state, by encouraging this behavior. You have created a situation now where I hear this from the Daily Signal senior contributor Victor Davis Hanson. He's done videos on this. He's spoken about this, and he lives in the Fresno area of California. And he says, even walking outside his long established family farm and homestead is dangerous because you never know what you're going to encounter. And so when you have American citizens who are just fearful to live the good life because of the situation that the governor there has created in California, I would say it's an emergency.
And the left just can't seem to find the right phrase to call people who are here illegally, right? Undocumented, unauthorized. How about illegal alien? They can't bring that out of their mouth for some reason.
Well, Vic, that is the term, that is the legal term that is in U.S. code. So the law uses illegal alien. That's what we use at the Daily Signal. I'm glad you use it. You've used it this morning. We have a situation, again, where there are forces like the Associated Press and others that set these guidelines and standards, and then they try to shame you. Now, I have noticed, because I go on some of these programs, and I have used those terms, and I've in the past, sometimes they will quickly jump down your throat and try to correct you.
Yeah. I
think that even they recognize, though, that argument is not playing with the American people. I think the American people see through it. They can try to change the language as much as they want, but the American people aren't stupid. They understand that they are illegal aliens, and try to call them undocumented workers or migrants or whatever you will. The fact of the matter is they broke the law. They are here illegally. And they need to return to their homes. And the Trump administration has given them that pathway through self-deportation. If they choose not to take it, then ICE could come knocking.
So you can get away with saying it, but you'll never hear them say it, right?
Oh, I think that we are. I don't see them ever returning to those words,
right.
and I don't see them changing. It's not just this issue. I mean, you look at the whole LGBTQ issue and some of the language that the Associated Press and the style book has used. This is why we have created our own style guide at the Daily Signal, because if you don't do that, you will fall into this, it's a slippery slope. I mean, they'll change one thing, and look, somebody who started, went to college, and learned on a previous edition of the Associated Press style book, and has seen how it's morphed over the years. Yeah, this is a concern. And by the way, while we're on the topic, we should celebrate the fact that an appeals court sided with the White House on Friday and ruled that the Associated Press does not get that exclusive access, that the White House actually was on firm ground in order to restrict the Associated Press. And again, that was a debate over language, Vic. It was a debate over the Associated Press's refusal to call the Gulf of America by its new proper name. And they refused to do so. They want to call it the Gulf of Mexico.
Al Roker still calls it the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, and again, look, they can do whatever they want, but it doesn't necessarily mean
that they're right.
that they're going to have those same courtesies extended to them,
right.
if they're not necessarily doing that. And I have very little sympathy for folks that operate this way, because when we had our press credentials revoked, you would have thought that they would have been one of the first people coming to our defense under the Biden administration, and they sat there silently on the sidelines and did nothing to support us. And so now that they're squawking about infringements on freedom of the press, this is they're still invited to the White House, by the way. They just can't necessarily attend the small meetings in the Oval Office or on Air Force One.
I was actually shocked to see a story that Terry Moran from ABC News was suspended for attacking Trump and Stephen Miller, actually, more specifically and most recently. I was shocked to hear that somebody in the legacy Pfizer media actually suspended somebody for
I was too.
right.
It was amazing. Well, first of all, I've heard a lot of theories as to what Terry Moran was thinking. Like, did he mean to send that in a text message and he accidentally posted it on Twitter because, it was just so out there? I don't know. Regardless, clearly he has strong feelings about President Trump and Stephen Miller. But no, I think that it was the appropriate action on the part of ABC to suspend him and to take action. I mean, you should suffer consequences if you're going to be out of line like that. And it's a reminder, I think, to all of us that beyond the facade that they may put on, and remember, Terry Moran was somebody who just interviewed President Trump not that long ago. I think it was in April. He is somebody who is quite hostile to his ideology and the president's beliefs.
So what's the bottom line then, right? Because when he did that, whether it was in an email or whether he wrote it down on a piece of paper or put it on X, we now know how he feels.
Yeah.
So how can we, as the news consumer, believe anything that comes out of anything at ABC News right now?
Yeah, well, this again, I frankly, I think the problem is quite easy to solve. I mean, just go the path of the Daily Signal or your show or others. Don't hide the fact that you have beliefs. I mean, we don't hide the fact that we are a conservative news organization. So if somebody's going to come and consume the news from us, they know that they're going to get it from a conservative viewpoint. I think that they quite clearly understand, Vic, where you stand on the issues. And so, the problem is that ABC News and a lot of other news entities still pretend that they're objective and they're trying to just, state the facts clearly when clearly they have an agenda. And it's going back to, frankly, a system that we've had set a century ago when we had a much more partisan press, and then you had an era come in where the Walter Cronkites of the world and others, tried to, pretend that they didn't have any ideological biases, and then clearly we know that they did. They were in many cases anti-conservative, and so this is something that I hope people will be just more upfront and honest about. And in the case of Terry Moran, he may decide that if he wants to pursue that as a path he can follow. Chuck Todd and others who have decided that they're going to strike it out on their own and start a Substack or their own program, and maybe they'll have some success and build an audience that way. I mean, there are so many different opportunities today for journalists who want to have an opinion and not necessarily be behind that veneer of objectivity.
We got about 30 seconds left, Rob. I just want to ask you, though, real quick. The Daily Signal, have you guys noticed that the Trump White House is much more forgiving? They're giving and opening up to new media like yourselves?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think Poynter did a study not too long ago that said the Daily Signal was the most frequent of the new media entities serving in the press pool. Now, that's part because, we are eager to do the job, but also I think it's a reflection that they are not necessarily going to rely exclusively on legacy media outlets. They've had things like Radio Row, Podcast Row. They're just opening up. It's great to see the transparency, Ken.
And having Victor Davis Hanson can't hurt. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
That's true. Yes.
Rob Bluey, he is from the Heritage Foundation and, of course, the president and executive editor of the Daily Signal. Rob, always great. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you.
Okay, take care. Have a great week, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
He's right on every point. I think we're right, too. I mean, I think things we said, he said we're right, and we know everything.
No, yeah, I was just hearing what you were talking about while I was getting things together this morning before we got Rob on, and I think you were right on about everything, Vic.
Oh, here we go.
Your name's Vic, right?
Yeah. Let me check my ID.
It is.
Well, yes, it is. Holy cow. All right, Vic Prevet's coming up at 11:05. We'll honor another veteran coming up then. Next, it's everybody's favorite game show, That's Crap, on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
I want to be clear.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com. Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Another RX Watch, brought to you by Onder Law. There's an evil new twist in the tragic story of baby powder and its link to ovarian cancer. Recently uncovered documents reveal that talc can contain asbestos.
The same asbestos that we know causes mesothelioma.
Right, and ovarian cancer.
In the 1970s, the industry wrote its own rules, allowing Johnson & Johnson to claim that its talc was asbestos-free, as long as it contained less than 1% asbestos.
Of course, Johnson & Johnson helped write those rules. So while we're using hazmat suits to remove the asbestos from our homes, Johnson & Johnson was telling women it's safe for their bodies.
Unbelievable. So if you've used talcum powder for feminine hygiene and contracted ovarian cancer, call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
They've already won several large verdicts against Johnson & Johnson for women just like you.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH. That's 1-800-RX-WATCH or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Happy Father's Day!
For Father's Day, families everywhere giving dads 40% of the effort they put into Mother's Day.
Dad, I love you.
I appreciate everything you've done for me and all the sacrifices.
I love you, Dad.
Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day for everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
My father's a hero.
Thank you for everything, Pops.
Happy Father's Day from some of Dad's favorites: Ray Ray's Kettle Corn, Pretty Little Paws, the Augusta Chamber of Commerce, and News Talk STL.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new Newstalk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime,
Love the News Talk STL app.
anywhere. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Yo, Vic, how you doing?
You doing, British lady? She hits on me all the time, this lady.
I know. Sounds like it.
A married man. Okay, lots to do today, and I hope you caught JC's show Saturday night. It's called JC's Wayback Machine. Lots of fun music. And the cool thing about it is, you know, JC, me, Ken, we worked in music radio in this town for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And we're frustrated for so long. I mean, the river was great. We played a lot of cool
We loved
stuff.
it. Yeah, we did get opportunities there that we wouldn't have gotten at maybe other music
That's
stations.
exactly right. And other music stations, you play what's written down, and that's it. And you don't have a choice now. The computer plays it, and that's it.
Yeah.
So JC has found those groups and some other songs that you just never hear, plus some great stories. A interviews, A+ interviews. I don't know what you call that. Top shelf interviews. Thanks, Ken. Saturday night, 6 to 9. It's JC's Wayback Machine. Right now, it's time for everybody's favorite game show. That's crap.
Welcome to That's Crap. It's the game where we find out if it's the truth or if that's crap. Here's the host of That's Crap, Vic Porcelli.
Thank you, Jim Baldwin. Thank you very much. Studio audience, you guys all right? Ladies, you up there? Ladies. Thank you. Thank God. What's a guy got to do to get some cheers from some women in the studio audience?
I know.
For God's sake. As Jim mentioned, it's the show where we find out if it's the truth or if that's crap. Our contestant today is a follower of Fidel Castro. She went to Cuba and, studied, I guess, Fidel Castro and his government style. And
it's called communism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And guess what she does now? She's the mayor of Los Angeles. So this was 1973, right? I didn't have any illusions that the people in Cuba had the same freedom that I did. She knew it. And she still yet followed Castro.
Yeah.
And was a student of Castro's policies. And look what's happening still there.
And let's not forget that she was also took a trip over to Ghana while her city was burning.
Yeah. And her city's burning again, so I'm sure she's got to get a plane to
Hurry up.
Republic of the Congo or something like that. All right, so the category for today is the LA riots. Ken, put 60 seconds on the clock. Karen Bass, Good luck.
I think it's so unfortunate. It's the last thing Los Angeles needs.
When you say you reached out to President Trump?
No, I did not reach out to President Trump directly. I spoke to his chief of staff. I talked to Tom Holman. I talked to the U.S. attorney. So I've talked to several members of the administration.
Yeah, I know you've been watching this protest. First off, what do you see when you're watching this? And I know that you've mentioned being worried about the safety of the protesters, but are you also worried about members of law enforcement in the middle of this?
Well, I'm worried about everybody. I'm worried about members of law enforcement. I'm worried about the safety of the people who are peacefully protesting. I'm worried about the businesses that might get vandalized. I'm worried about the vandalism that took place around the federal building. All of that. We do not need to see our city torn apart. And the idea that the federal government that should be assisting us is a contributing factor, I think is very tragic. When I see the protesters, I know that so many people are affected by this. Their families are affected by this. People are terrified.
Okay. Ken?
Yeah, Vic.
Let's talk about this for a second
Yeah.
before we decide whether it's true or that's crap. So, Donald Trump sent in National Guard because of safety, to keep the safety of citizens, innocent citizens, to keep them safe.
Let's go back a little bit farther, and where it all started was the rioters. They were the ones who were causing the problem originally. All the ICE was trying to do was uphold their job, do their job, arresting people who were criminals, actual criminals, pedophiles, etc., from illegal aliens. Okay, then is when it started to happen.
And if I may go back even a step further than that,
okay,
they're protesting people who are in this country illegally being sent to jail by ICE. ICE are a bunch of criminals, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
Yeah, ICE are not good people. They're terrible people. Joking. But that's really where it all started.
Right.
Because some lady was arrested, because this cracks me up too. Some lady was arrested because she was here illegally. And then all of a sudden, all these tens of thousands of people are out in the street. Are we supposed to believe it's some kind of grassroots movement? Like that. They were out there in the street like that. And it was peaceful for a while. And then the Antifa thugs showed up. And Ken, they were throwing rocks off of the overpass onto a highway. Now, if you're married and your wife takes that road and somebody throws a boulder on her windshield and it hits her in the head and kills her, where is the peaceful protest in that? Where is the objection to that by the mainstream media, even by the mayor, Karen Bass, or the stupid governor, Gavin Newsom?
And unfortunately, Vic, people from the St. Louis region can empathize with that because we experienced that near Union Boulevard, that overpass that woman was killed when the boulder it fell. No one threw it, but it crumbled off of the bridge and killed her instantly.
And that wasn't even that was an individual isolated incident. That wasn't even a mass protest.
Right, exactly right. And so it can happen, and it would happen. And what they were also doing, there were some barricades that were made of concrete. Well, they were taking sledgehammers to them, breaking them apart, and then using those rocks to throw sharp edges and all at the ICE police. Actually, not just the ICE people, but people from the policemen there,
who they told to stand down at the beginning anyway.
Right.
So don't tell me about contributing factors, Mayor Bass, because what you have said, that's crap. Have you seen the liberals on social media saying, oh, these protesters in LA, they broke into the building and they hit cops and they hurt cops and killed cops. Oh, no, wait, that was January 6th. And so, they didn't kill any cops. The only person killed on January 6th was Ashley Babbitt.
And she was murdered, in my opinion.
So just scroll right by it, okay? I got to tell you, there are some times I want to stop and I want to yell and I want to argue, but I can't be bothered. I just can't. You want to believe what you want to believe. You want to believe that Donald Trump was sending in the brown shirts and this is comparable to 1939 Germany.
But you're nuts, first of all.
Yeah. But when you do that, you are insulting 6 million Jews and their families who were murdered by Adolf Hitler in World War II. So stop it. Stop it now.
Yeah, well, and another part of it is you've diluted it so much by saying that over and over on the left, the Democrats, that now when you say it, it means nothing.
Exactly right, Ken.
It
That's
means
exactly
zero. Honest to God, when you call, they had their boots on the necks of the people. No, nobody cares.
Mhm.
Nobody cares anymore.
Yep.
Just keep it up. But I would suggest, though, that the left and the Democrat Party heading into 26 and 28, keep doing what they're doing.
Absolutely
just
right.
keep going.
All right, that's all the time we have for That's Crap.
This is Jim Modulin speaking for That's Crap, a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman radio production.
Thank you, Jim Modulin. This is Vic Porcelli saying help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody. Dave, good morning. Welcome to News Talk STL, sir.
Hey, guys. How are you this morning?
Good.
I called in for a while. Thought I'd give you a break, but give the bosses, that way they don't have to worry about thanking you guys for putting me on the air. So I'm doing it in the name of safety. However,
Yeah.
I'm unhinged right now. So we've all faced bullies in our life, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all I can tell you, my experience with a bully is I called all three of them out and individually whipped their ass.
Wow.
Now, my point I'm making is it's time we stop being nice. And for these people, if you throw a rock at a police officer, guess what you are inviting? You are inviting lethal force to be used against you.
Right.
Now, the coward police chiefs substitute the word wussy and put another letter on
Got it.
That's what they are, okay? Lethal force would be all justified. You can even throw a bottle of water. It doesn't make a difference if it's frozen or not. My suggestion to the other side, you don't want to open this can of worms. You don't want to squeeze this tube of toothpaste because once it's out, you won't get it back in there. You're going to get something that you'll never, ever understand. When you unleash someone who's tired, they're going to beat you like you've never been beaten before. Now, I'm saying I don't want violence. Please, I don't want it. But at some point in time, you have to beat that bully's behind to get their attention.
I agree. All right, Dave. Thank you so much, buddy. Always great to hear from you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you, Dave.
Hey, Mike Franco. How are you?
Hello. I am well.
Haven't heard from you in quite some time.
Yeah, well, I started working again, and I'm usually not available at this time of day on
the
week anymore.
The hell with your job. This is our radio show,
Yeah, man.
Mike. Come on.
Yeah. Well, until you start paying me to call in.
I get it.
I hear you.
So what's on your mind?
Yeah, well, I'm going to take a more historical and hawkish look at events and refer to this weekend as our Fort Sumter moment.
Go ahead.
When certain localities declared their open opposition and rebellion against the United States. And I'm looking for that that request for $75,000 or 75,000 volunteers from the executive.
Right.
To reclaim federal property and operations.
Well, yeah, and they stormed the federal building.
They did.
But you can't talk laws and the rule of law with them because they don't understand it,
Exactly.
I don't know. All right, Mike.
All right, Mike. Thank you.
So the National Guard's on the ground and there are 500 Marines on standby at Camp Pendleton.
Right. And the left's making a big deal out of that too.
Peace
Yeah, but you know what I feel? I feel very strongly about this. Donald Trump is not going to allow the Summer of Love 2020 to happen again. He's not going to let that happen again. He even said our innocent citizens will not go through this. They're not going to. And so I think that he has a good reason to get things ready like that.
Yep.
Great thoughts, though, Mike. We appreciate you, buddy.
Yep. Appreciate you, too.
All right, man.
See you, Mike.
Fort Sumter. That's a Civil War reference there.
Yeah, I know.
The site where the first shots of the American Civil War were fired.
Yeah.
On April 12th, 1861. I'm hearing Civil War rumblings around the internet more and more.
Well, they keep doing that. The bottom line is that Donald Trump has to make sure that innocent citizens are safe. Period.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, no matter what it takes.
Yep. All right. Thanks for the calls, Dave and Mike. When we get back, we're going to talk to one of our favorite guys. His name is Terris, Todd. It's the importance of fathers in black homes. The numbers are staggering on how many black families don't have the dad present. We'll talk to Terry about that next on 1019. Sorry, we'll talk to Terris about that next on 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local conservative talk. Should have went with Welcome Home.
Stream the Vic Porcelli Show at NewstalkSTL.
Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
The Vic Porcelli Show on NewstalkSTL.
You know, ever since the crew from Roots Plus came to our house and got rid of a tree that was so dead, I mean, it looked like the poster for the play Into the Woods. Very scary branches hanging down. And I didn't know this, but now that they've come, this is all I think about now. Is that tree dead, or is it just dying and needs some medical care? What, Vic? Medical care for trees? That's really what Roots Plus wants to do first, is save your tree. So if you think it's, if you got some branches that have no leaves on it, well, why is that? Why does that one branch not have leaves and there's leaves on the rest of the tree? It may be sick. So you call Roots Plus. They come and they inject nutrients into it. I don't know the process. Okay, I'm too stupid to know what the process is, but they want to save your tree. And if it is not possible to save the tree, then they can remove it for you. But the good news is everything you spent trying to save the tree goes towards the tree removal if it doesn't work. So it's actually risk-free. And another company wouldn't do that. They're not trying to charge you for the trying to fix it and then charge you double for trying to get it out. And I'm telling you what, the folks at Roots Plus just don't do it that way. They do it the right way. And I believe Stan from Roots Plus is joining us this week. Is that right, Ken?
I believe so.
Yeah. So we'll talk to him then and get more somebody who can explain it better than I do. RootsPlusLLC.com. RootsPlusLLC.com. And you can call them at 314-440-3662 to get a quote and a visit right on the website. Go to RootsPlusLLC.com for Roots Plus.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
You don't want to miss Larry Connors USA, where you get news, analysis, opinion, and education.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey, if you're 50 or older, you do not want to take any risk with your money. In fact, you want Leslie Consulting. My friend Bob Leslie can show you a gain and retain plan. Means that you never lose. Plus, you get up to a 20% bonus on day one. Leslie Consulting, a leader in brokerage and risk management. 314-721-0066. LeslieConsulting.com.
Transform your furry friend at Dapper Dog. Personalized grooming for dogs and cats of all breeds, featuring creative color treatments and luxurious spa services with quick turnaround and one-on-one care. Let your pup play all day in our bark park Monday through Friday. Need overnight boarding? We accept only 10 families at a time for truly personalized care. No extra charges for playtime, medications, or potty breaks, so your pet gets the attention they deserve. In St. Peters and in Troy, or at youdapperdog.com. That's youdapperdog.com.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
One day, some of the kids from the neighborhood carried my mother's groceries all the way home. You know why? It was out of respect.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Good morning and welcome home to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. The black family needs fathers, okay? And that nuclear family, the breakup of the nuclear family, that's in Marxism 101.
Yeah.
Break up the nuclear family. We'll move you right along to Marxism, socialism, communism, and then you'll all be dead soon. Terris Todd, this isn't the first time he's wrote about it, but he joins us now from Project 21 and the National Center for Public Policy Research. Terris, good morning. Welcome back to the show, sir. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm blessed in the Lord, man. It's a blessing to be back with you guys. You know, I enjoy these talks that we have.
Me too.
So I'm glad to be back.
You bet. You bet. And you know what? It's an important thing. Like, it's funny. You know, they try to make it funny. Oh, he's my baby daddy. You know, maybe he's not the father. He's baby daddy. And that doesn't help the kid, right?
Nah, not at all. Especially when baby daddy is also the villain, right? He's also portrayed as being the enemy of the child, and somehow everything about him is bad and wrong, and you don't want to be like him, you know, kind of a thing. And so, but what's really unfortunate, though, is that, you know, the scriptures is always true as we know it. The Bible says if you smite the shepherd, the sheep will scatter. In other words, if you remove the head of any family or household, then eventually the body will die. And so that's actually what's been happening over the past several decades when they decided to remove fathers from the home and then have the women, our women specifically, marry the government, which that has been a complete disaster. So this notion that I don't need a man, I think you need to think twice about that, because the father is the originator, right? He carries the seed, you know, his seed, his deed. And that's exactly what I've been saying for a long time. And so when he's not actively engaged in the process, this is what we get. We get a high rise of crime. We get kids who are failing in school. We get teenage pregnancies and so on, and the list goes on. And so we have to put an end to this. So at Project 21, we are taking an active role with being on the front line to really help end fatherlessness, tell you the truth.
And the government is partly to blame for all this.
Oh, absolutely. You know, a good friend of mine, a beloved brother of mine, Dean Nelson, who's no longer with us, I remember he and I were talking about this, and they even had a campaign, man, back in like the 50s or 60s. I think it was the 60s or 70s maybe. And they had a door-to-door campaign making sure that those women did not have the fathers in their home in order to receive, you know, subsidies or government assistance to feed their children. And so that's why they bought into that agenda, hook, line, and sinker.
So that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, door to door.
They went door to door to tell them not to have dads in the house.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And then, so what's the advantage to the child with no father in the house? Oh, but you get welfare and you get money for it. That's not what the kid's looking for. The kid's looking for structure, for a father to be, you know. I remember my father didn't even have to say anything. He'd look at me and I'm like, oh God.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's how important a dad is.
It's a look. Yeah.
It's a look.
It's a look, baby. A look.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that is exactly what I was thinking when Vic was talking about that. Just I remember, I can picture it like it was yesterday when I said something. My day goes, no, you're not going to say that again, son.
What do you think, Terris?
Yeah, if you want to put an end to all this foolishness, you know, even with, you know, the leftists, and see, the whole feminist group is actually, they're the huge cause of a lot of this as well, because again, they're the ones that actually vilifies the father. And if you want to put an end to all this foolishness with, you know, taking these children and sexualizing children in our schools and going to trans story hours and stuff like that, you put a father in the home, all of that will stop right then on the spot. I guarantee you, 100%.
And if it's a single mom, she's got to work one, maybe two jobs, right?
That's right.
And this leads to too much time alone for the children, unsupervised.
You're absolutely right. You know, I worked in the public school system for a number of years as a teacher and administrator. And it's really unfortunate to see the number of single moms, you know, and they're doing the best they can. But really, even having a two-parent household, even if you can't get along and reconcile your differences, you still need that father, because God has created us to have balance, right? And to have that child to have balance in their life. They need the voice of a father to affirm who they are, and they need the nurturing of their moms. And so if they don't have that balance in life, man, they're completely off. They'll deal with issues of rejection and abandonment, and they'll think that their father actually did it. But when in all fact, it's a system kind of a thing. But it's also the mother, you know, actually pushing that agenda as well, because in some cases, mothers do vilify the fathers as well. And so we got to put an end to that nonsense, man, because it's not doing us any favors with our kids. Our kids deserve a lot better than what they're getting.
We're talking with NCPPR and Project 21 News Director Terris Todd. And Terris, the Trump administration's HUD Director, Scott Turner, he had they take care of housing and urban development, and they take care of the communities. But this also plays a big role with fathers in the home. It helps stabilize that home life, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, 100%. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you mentioned him because he's kind of next on the agenda that we're looking to hopefully have a meeting with him. We do have one of our booklets coming out, one of our publications coming out on affordable housing and how it and what it means to Black America. And so having that conversation with him and the issue of having fathers be a part of this process and with affordable housing, I think that'd be a great conversation to have with him. So, yeah, but you're absolutely right about that.
So when you have a single mother, I hate to say this, but if I'm wrong, Terris, but my gosh, please tell me. A kid growing up with just a single mother, more likely to get into trouble, get arrested.
You're 100% correct, sir. The data actually shows, and the data's out there. You can go to fatherhood.org. You can go to AFPI. There's all kinds of fatherlessness data. All you got to do is Google it and put fatherlessness in there, and there's all kinds of data out there. But you're absolutely right. It's been proven that even a child that's only with a single dad has a better chance at being successful academically, mental health issues, and so on. And the list goes on the positive. They tend to do better with a single father.
Yeah.
Now they need their mom, of course, too.
Oh,
for
yeah.
the nurturing piece. But you're absolutely right. When it's just the mom and not the dad actively engaged, I mean, it's a slippery slope from there. I mean, it's a downward spiral. But children who are with their father, their single fathers, tend to do better than children that are with single moms, hands down. And really, hats off to dads, all the dads that are out there. We got Father's Day coming up, and so I just want to take this opportunity to really salute them and say, hey, Project 21 and the National Center, we're supporting you 100%, and we have to do something about making sure that they have an active role to play when it comes to raising their kids.
Let's look at some of the stats of what we're just talking about. Fatherhood Resource Hub says that children of involved dads are 39% more likely to earn A's in school, 60% less likely to be suspended or expelled, twice as likely to attend college or find stable employment, and 75% less likely to have a teen birth, and 80% less likely to spend time in jail. Those are just the facts.
Come on. And you know what? And the reason, and here's what's interesting to me, is with all of this data that's out there that proves the success of our youth, of our children, why aren't politicians talking about this? Why aren't more churches and and things like that?
Yes.
Why aren't they talking about this stuff? What we've done, I have partnered with Apostle Tommy Quick. He's the head of CFAD, which is out of South Carolina, Christian Families Against Destructive Decisions. They focus on these very issues. Douglas Leadership Institute has taken on this initiative too with fatherhood and stuff like that. But we have all that data out there, and you would think that someone would want to really see our children be successful and do well in life. But unfortunately, because, you have the yin and yang, right? You have good versus evil kind of thing. The evil side is saying, nah, we don't want to address that. We want to remain silent because that's another industry, right? It pays to keep people victimized and in a down, in a low state. It pays to keep people sick. It pays to keep people in prison. It pays for that. And unfortunately, there are industries for that, for our failure, for our downfall. And so we want to be on the upside with, changing this thing. We want to be on the positive side, because when we do that, man, I'm telling you, our nation will turn around dramatically, man. We'll see a big difference.
Well, Terris, you mentioned that you can't imagine why, the left would feel the way they do. And you would think that they would want, parents to be encouraged to raise their kids. But Vic alluded to it earlier with Marxism, because they know power is all the Democrats know. First of all, the only way they can get power is if they can pull that kid away from the parents. And if the kid doesn't have two parents, it's even better. And it's a lot easier. Yeah,
it's a lot easier, and you can control that narrative, man. And unfortunately, our women have fallen prey to that, right? They have fallen prey to the ideology of leftists. With actually going to, and really, you need to understand that they're not their friend either. To take another income out of the household, to take away that covering that obviously is supposed to be in that household, they are absolutely no friend to our women either. And I hope and pray that many of our women are awakening to that fact. because they're not doing them any favors. So they're the ones that have to take out a second or third job just to make ends meet. When, in fact, I mean, it makes business sense to have two incomes in the house. I don't know why they don't see that, but some are seeing it and some just simply aren't. So you're absolutely right about that.
Sometimes the messenger needs to be, I don't know what the word is. So let me just tell you the story. Ann Coulter, right? People hate her. A lot of people just hate Ann Coulter. She was on a show, some talk show. It wasn't a famous talk show because I don't really recognize the person that's hosting it. But she gave out the stats that I just gave you about black kids with one, and the crowd booed her.
Yeah.
She goes, "You can boo all you want. This isn't it's not my opinion. This is fact."
Yeah.
So maybe somebody that is not so hated like Ann Coulter to give the message.
Well, what's amazing, Terris, is also the great thing about being conservative. We have all the facts on our side.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to be on our side.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why you're seeing a shift of men who may be absolutely fathers, that have shifted in the previous election. You know what I mean? And we see even some of our young people starting to come this direction as well, because they realize that, well, wait a minute. They are completely off the rails. We don't even recognize what they're doing. And so, we've literally become the people of common sense. And they realize that, man. We want better for them, man. And I'll never forget this woman that came to the Heritage Foundation when I was there, working there. And it was a Hispanic mother from California. And long story short, she ended up losing her daughter to a suicide because why? She was being targeted in the schools with the whole transgender kind of a thing, puberty blockers and all this other nonsense. And they took this child out of the home, away from the mom. She was a single parent, not married. Took the child out of the home because the mother did not agree with her daughter somehow seeing herself as a boy. She didn't buy into that. So they had her removed, put into foster care with total strangers. And then next thing you know, she stepped out in front of a train, taking her life.
Wow.
And when they went to get the mom and she went to identify, notice that, she went to identify her child. She said, "You can see them still taking the flesh of my daughter off the front of the train."
Jesus.
There wasn't a dry eye in the auditorium, man. I was crying. I was like, wow, because I got 3 daughters myself.
Yeah,
so
I too.
Imagine the pain she was going through, man.
Oh.
And the sad thing is that the schools did that to her.
Yes.
The schools did that to her.
They're doing it to other girls right now.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So we talk to frequently, I guess a former colleague of yours used to be with Project 21. Donna Jackson is her name. You familiar with Donna Jackson?
Yes. Yeah. Love her dearly. Yeah.
So she has given me a phrase that I've never forgotten, because we talk about families and people that are paycheck to paycheck, right? She says,
absolutely.
Some black families go paycheck to Wednesday. That's true. Doesn't even make it to the next paycheck. So what does that mean?
Absolutely.
These payday loans.
Well, the deal is, you think about it. So in a lot of African American communities across this country, you do have payday loans, and sometimes they're getting 300-400% interest.
Crazy.
It's cheaper to borrow money from the mafia, for God's sakes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So she's absolutely right, 100%. I mean, it doesn't make it to the end of the week, for goodness sake, because they're paying the loans back.
Yeah.
You're talking about, and this is legal.
Yes.
This is allowed in these communities.
Yeah.
Get a load of that. It's allowed, man, and that's what's really sad about it. So those payday loans, they are robbing people in low-income neighborhoods. No question about it. She's absolutely right.
Terris Todd from the National Center for Public Policy Research and Project 21. Terris, always enjoy the heck out of our conversation, so thank you so much.
Likewise, sir. Have a blessed day. Take care.
Take care, Terris.
He's good, man.
Yeah.
You too.
It doesn't matter what we're talking about. If we hit him from left field,
No.
he's right on it. Okay. I believe Karen Kataline is next. Is she not?
She is.
Yes, she is. That's next on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Whoosh.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just one dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Downtown Los Angeles designated an unlawful assembly area by police following a weekend of violence, rioting that followed a series of raids by ICE, whose agents were enforcing federal immigration law. Police and National Guardsmen were hit with rocks, bottles, and other objects. Cars were burned, major thoroughfares blocked amid a looting spree. All of that turmoil prompting President Trump to deploy the National Guard.
In response to the unrest in California, the president said the deployment was necessary, and he's prepared to send in more troops.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
California's governor called the National Guard deployment unlawful. Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth wrote online that active duty Marines were on high alert. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And on Truth Social, the president vowing to, quote, liberate Los Angeles. Mr. Trump's budget and spending priorities taking center stage this week on Capitol Hill.
As Senate committees continue to release their proposals for the House-passed reconciliation package this week, the House plans to vote on President Donald Trump's proposals to rescind foreign aid and other spending, including for public broadcasting. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise said in a statement, quote, the rescissions request sent to Congress by the Trump administration takes the federal government in a new direction where we actually cut waste, fraud, and abuse and hold agencies accountable to the American people. The House also takes up bills this week targeting local operations in Washington, D.C. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
Coast Guard search underway after a plane, 6 people on board, crashed in the Pacific off San Diego. Ukraine says Russia's launched the biggest overnight drone attack of the war so far, 479 drones in all. Wall Street, the Dow trading about 172 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Mike Gallagher here, host of the Mike Gallagher Show. If you know me, you know I only put my name behind people and companies I trust. When it comes to mortgages, I trust Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. They're not just friends. They've done loans for me, my family. I've seen firsthand how they treat every client like their family. And these days, that personal touch really matters. With the cost of everything up, you might be looking for ways to free up cash. Maybe you're thinking about a cash-out refi or HELOC to finish some home projects, consolidate debt, or just get ahead financially. Fellowship is a full-service direct lender, not a broker. They cut out the middleman. That means faster decisions, fewer fees, and less stress. Whether you're buying your first home, downsizing, or refinancing to get some breathing room, they'll tailor fit the loan to your life. Get started at fellowshiphomeloans.com/MikeG, fellowshiphomeloans.com/MikeG, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Onder Law. Call for a free consultation because winning is what we do at Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, today marks the beginning of a much quieter weather pattern that leaves us dry through most of the work week. Now, that said, a quick isolated shower can't be ruled out today as a weak cold front slides through. But most of us enjoy a dry one with lower humidity and afternoon sunshine, 83 for the high. Clear and a little cooler tonight. Will drop down into the mid and upper 50s. Mostly sunny and beautiful for your Tuesday, up to 83 in the afternoon. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show.
How dare you!
By Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so, he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Monday is what it is. First day of the working week.
Yeah, man.
And we have got another edition of Vic for Vets coming up at 11:05. Every day we honor a veteran, living or dead. Tell you a little bit of a story about them because on this here radio station, June is Veterans Month. Am I right?
You are correct, sir.
Let's go. The one and only Karen Kataline.
Did you know that I'm married to a trucker? I feel like using a Yiddish word, famished. Spoiling in front of my computer, I am. They're just too dumb to lie. He has the effect of 6 shots of scotch.
Okay, the first rule of Jewish Fight Club is if somebody says ow, you stop. Ow. Okay, let's see.
Okay, let's eat. Isn't that always the last thing?
They portray us as such wusses, don't they?
Yes, but
and there are a lot. A lot of wusses.
I have the list of famous Jewish sports legends here. Just a leaflet.
It's an empty book.
That's right.
There's nothing in it. Can you imagine Woody Allen, going, I'm tough, not like everybody says.
You know what's funny about that? Woody Allen, in one of his, he has an incredibly funny stand-up early on in his career before he started making movies. And he was talking about, sex. And he says, and to I don't know, to make the sensation last longer, I think of ball players. So Mays is up, Koufax is pitching.
I remember him saying that the reason he's bisexual, it doubles his chance for getting a date. Wasn't he the one who said that?
No.
Oh, who was it?
Who was
Somebody.
that? I don't remember. Anyway.
It doesn't matter.
So,
Who are you?
So I think it's hysterical that Greta Thunberg, is on some boat on her way to Gaza with aid for Gaza, and the Israeli Defense Forces took the ship and arrested her, and she had a short and sweet response to the whole thing.
How dare you?
And, what is wrong with that girl? What is wrong with her?
Well, I got a little heads up. I heard that while I was holding on, and I went, oh, okay, now I know. At least one thing we're going to talk about. So I just wrote something that is an honest, sincere question. No sarcasm at all.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
It's only a total coincidence that Greta, the environmental wacko whose whole issue was climate change, also happens to be, it's just such a total coincidence, an Israel hater, a Jew hater, and a communist.
How about
How
that?
did that happen?
I don't know. It's crazy.
How dare you?
She's not happy with you, clearly.
Yeah. Well, and you saw my tweet. The sad part is smart people like your listeners and you, they know that these are not coincidences. They know that they didn't activate terrorists yesterday for no reason. Oh, but because Trump is in office and they've been lying in wait. They know that these are funded riots, and God forbid we're going to have a summer of awfulness, somewhat reminiscent of the last bunch of riots when Trump was in office. Anybody who thinks this is somehow spontaneous, or that environmentalists just happen to be communists, they just aren't watching, are they?
And these LA riots, and I'm sure you'll totally agree with me on this one, that they started these riots. They was not peaceful. They were burning cars, and then they forced President Trump to send the National Guard so they can say, look, he's sending the brown shirts.
Yeah, which of course they were planning the brown shirts to use against law-abiding citizens all along.
Yeah.
Because they have two playbooks. They have playbooks for when they're in power, and they have playbooks for when they're not in power. And usually when they're in power, they're plotting about what they're going to do if they ever get out of power, which I don't think they thought they'd ever be. Other than, I don't know if you saw this, but I saw one thing that I posted that said, this is a trap for everyday people like you and me to get involved, and don't. They're burning. It's sad. It's sad. I'm not saying they're burning their own cities down, because if you will see, these are where the leftist hubs are. And short of Trump bringing in the National Guard and the military if necessary, which is, in my opinion, wholly and completely warranted, and he warns people about it, in order to restore order, they're going to try and call him all kinds of names. But you know what? America is with him on this, because they're basically rioting in favor of more criminals like themselves. And everyday people know that. So this is a chessboard strategy, and they're losing.
Well,
It just breaks my heart, though, that there are so many innocent people get caught in the crossfire of their political recklessness and violence. It's terrible.
how about people who have no political leaning whatsoever? They don't even follow politics. They don't even open up the opinion page of the newspaper, driving down the 101, and somebody throws a boulder on them from the overpass and they die. Talk about an innocent.
Well, that'd be okay,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just terrifying, and that's what they want us to be, is terrified. But honestly, I was a lot more terrified when they were in control and plotting than now, because when I watch it, and I know it's just another replay, the last one was only a dress rehearsal for the next one. What I know is that I lost it.
I
say too
totally
many things at
understand.
once.
Are you kidding me?
I tried to say too many things at one time. I had a really good point there, but I distracted myself from it. I'm a lot more encouraged because, I know what I was going to say,
There
and
you go.
it's hard to say, and that is that if they weren't as horrifically awful, irrational, and using a bunch of useful idiots, as we knew they were, then we wouldn't see the results of them losing power. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they had just said, it's hard for me to state it clearly. I have to think about it a little bit. But if they had just said, okay, Trump's in office, he won fair and square, we're going to move on. We're going to try to work together, and we'll get him next time.
Yeah.
If they were anything like that, if they were even remotely reasonable, then we'd say, well, I guess I misjudged them. Maybe they were more rational than we thought. But all of this being manufactured and being planned, and have you heard about the cement blocks that are delivered in cities?
Yeah.
That nobody, I mean, did we see that before? Was this a conspiracy? No, we saw exactly who these people are, and they're proving it to us now that we were right to be as worried and concerned as we were then. And I would rather be, sadly, in this position when we have somebody who thinks like us and who loves America, who is going to put his foot down, than I was when Otto Penn put his foot down against Catholics who were peacefully protesting, really peacefully protesting, or praying in the privacy of their own home.
Yeah.
So this, unfortunately, is necessary because they always show themselves. Sorry, I went on so long.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
So, but to go along with what you're saying, on who's president and how the country, or at least the left, feels about it. Do you know the name Coco Graf, the girl that won the French Open over the weekend? Okay.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know she won the French. Oh, neat.
She, you what?
Good for her.
Nah.
I don't know much about her.
Nah.
If she's acting like Simone Biles, then maybe not.
She's almost, because she said during her post-tournament comments that, well, when Trump was elected, it was a dark time, for America. And I'm like, what the hell? Do we do that? I want to, Ken.
Oh, no.
Karen, I want to ask you, give me an honest answer. When Joe Biden was elected, did the biggest names in conservatives say, "Oh no, he's terrible. We don't want him." We took the loss, even though it was
we
rigged.
felt that way. We did feel that way.
Oh yeah.
But the difference is we weren't so arrogant as to believe that everybody agrees with us. Anybody who's decent agrees with us. I tried my damnedest to watch 3.5 minutes of the Tonys last night.
I watched
I
the whole
used to
thing.
love it.
I watched the whole thing.
I used to love it. And I told my husband, I'm going to watch it long enough to see either the next political agenda outrageous comment or how many gays and trannies will come forward in the span of 5 seconds. Not that I have anything against gays and trannies. I have something against their political agenda. And it didn't take long, believe me. And the arrogance with which they slyly say, "Oh, things are tough, hard times are terrible." I'm thinking, and you didn't think times were terrible under Otto Penn? Obviously not. They don't care whether they have a lying president, a lying puppet president, but it's Trump. So they're going to assume everybody in that hall, and probably 99.9% of them agree with them, and then they can congratulate themselves for it. It was a disgrace.
Yeah,
a disgrace.
You're absolutely right. And when it comes down to, we knew it when Biden won the election in quotes, that he was going to be a terrible president. But we never said, "Oh my God, we're going to go back to terrible racial times." When he's the biggest racist that's ever been in the White House in modern era, at least.
And we knew it. And plus, we knew we were going to get accused of everything they do. And it's a psychotic kind of paranoia. I'll tell you. I had somebody start calling me names and bullying me on Twitter because I chose to post a James Woods video for which the AI alerted this radical leftist, because that radical leftist was watching James Wood. I just wanted to accompany my quote with something they could see. I didn't care that much about it. They had a picture of some burning cop cars. So the person called me a bimbo and an ignoramus and a whole bunch of name calling because I'm so stupid I didn't know that was the riot from 5 years ago.
Right.
And I said, well, you made my point, because they're really pretty interchangeable, aren't they? Whether it was the riot from 5 years ago when they were burning people and burning cars. No, they burned people in Boulder, or the riot going on now. And of course, the person's trying to alert their buddies as to how, I have a live one. So I hesitated to comment at all. But that's what they want also. So they don't really care about logic or rational thinking, or they're not bound by any of that. They really aren't.
And there is no difference, okay, between what happened in 2020 and what's happening now. It just happened to be a picture from then, but you could have found a picture from now, and it would have been the same thing. And sure. I just want to read what this person wrote about you. I want people to know what she wrote. He wrote, whatever. So Karen says it may. She did the James Woods thing, and then this guy writes, "You might want to scratch your bingo card because this footage is from 2020, 5 years ago. Nice job, dumbass." Calls our Karen Kataline a dumbass. And he didn't have.
And it got worse from there.
But wait, he didn't have the guts to go after James Woods, did he?
Yeah, exactly.
Punk.
But I went to his page. I think it's a he. I went to a page, and Woods is one of his big targets. He loves.
He's a basement dweller eating Hot Pockets, waiting for mom to give him some stovetop
stuffing.
Let me ask the Twitter king, Ken Williams. I didn't know whether to block him, to report him, to mute him. I didn't know what to do with him.
What I usually do is I'll sit there and I'll respond to them until it gets stupid, to where there's no way it's going to change, and then I'll block them. I don't even care.
I think Karen already won this because he started calling her names. She never called anybody names, so you already won.
It always happens, Karen. Whenever they call me names, I even acknowledge it. Whenever they start to call me names, I'm like, I won. I guess I'll see you later. Block.
I like to say tilt, game over.
There you go.
Pinball reference. Love pinball references. All right, can we take a couple steps back and get back to the Tonys from last night?
You betcha.
I watched the whole thing. I'm sorry, I can't help myself sometimes.
I get it.
I love live theater. I love doing live theater. but
Yes.
it's at least it gives me at least it gives me information to talk about the next day, right? So
Of course.
the nominees for best actor were all regular men. One being George Clooney, by the way. He was nominated for Good Night and Good
Did
Luck.
he win?
What are you, Ken Williams, the Thunder Stealer? Can you hold on a second?
Karen Thunder.
Oh my God.
I turned it off. I couldn't.
Okay, I'll get there. Oh my God.
Okay, good.
But Good Night and Good Luck, which I'm sure is a great play, right? Edward R. Murrow, one of the most famous, and boy, if he could only be like Edward R. Murrow in real life, that would be great, right? So the categories: George Clooney, Jan Michael Hill, Daniel Day Kim, Harry Lennox, and Lewis McCartney, and also Cole Escola, who happened to win the Tony. So George Clooney didn't. So all regular, normal men, and Cole Escola is a trans, whatever you call it. He's a guy in a dress with makeup on, and he's got this dress where his chest is open, and he's got a hairy chest. Like, I don't know, what are you trying to portray here? And
I saw that person, and did he win Best Actor?
Yes.
He also wrote it, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know.
Like he wrote it or something?
He might have. I don't know.
Gee, that wasn't a political statement at all.
That's
was it?
that's exactly my point. Okay,
Uh-huh.
Everything's got to be diverse. So you got to make sure plenty of Black people win, plenty of Asian people win, plenty of trans people win, and then it doesn't even become an award show anymore. Don't even bother. Just put some numbers.
I hate
up
to
there.
be redundant, and most of them are sheep because they're so stupid. All they know how to do is memorize other people's lines and act like they're being real about it.
Mhm.
I used to do it, and I have little to less respect than ever. Honestly, I do. But my brain is turning to mush.
Welcome to the club. It's the Mush Club.
You're getting ready for some vacation time, right?
No. I don't know.
Okay.
It's so obvious a message, and that is they're too stupid to know that this is pure collectivism communism that they're being a part of.
Right.
They're useful idiots in the communist agenda.
Yep.
Make everybody the same, make it not about merit. Why do you think Trump, the first day he went in office, he talked about merit? Because that's what the communists hate.
So the winner of the Best Male Actress won for his portrayal of a woman. I was so confused. I went to the bathroom. I came out and I said, "What the hell is going on?" She goes, "George Clooney didn't win." And then I see a guy in a dress, and I'm like, "What category was it?"
Is this actress, actor, or nondescript?
Right. What the heck is the category? So
Yeah.
anyway, can I just
And
say
in Hollywood,
No,
in
go ahead.
Hollywood, they still have movies in the can from their tranny agenda politicizing, and now they're stuck with them.
Yep.
And because people aren't in the mood for it anymore. So pardon me if I have just a little bit of schadenfreude if they lose some money on their agenda driven projects.
Ken Schadenfreude, write it down. It's another one.
I love the word.
What is it again?
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude.
Just spell it phonetically. We'll figure it out.
SCHADENFREUDE, which is a German word for taking pleasure in the misfortunes of others.
Oh my God. So one more quick thing, and then we'll call it a week here, I guess, since you're too busy to be with us Thursday, whatever. But
who taught you Jewish guilt?
Hey, I'm a Jew in training.
He's trying.
Don't worry about me. I don't need a guest.
Is this
on
anything
Thursday.
like Catholic guilt, only different?
Yes,
It's a little
exactly
bit,
right.
It's kind of the same.
You got to admit, you guys are a little over the top on the guilt. So anyway,
We're great at it, aren't we?
one real great moment at the Tonys last night was, I don't know if you know Jonathan Groff. Do you know who he is?
The name rings a bell.
He played King George III in Hamilton in the original performance of Hamilton. He actually there was a Mindhunters was a great show on Netflix.
Oh, I love that show
where they talk to mass murderers about what they do, and that's how they came up with the phrase serial killer.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Groff plays one of those guys. But Jonathan Groff portrays Bobby Darin, and he does Mac the Knife last night.
Oh, really?
And I got to tell you, I don't know what to say sometimes. I love live theater so much, but I know they're a bunch of libs, and I know they hate me, but I just, it was an unbelievable performance.
You can do both. You can appreciate
thank you.
talent and know that they're ignoramuses.
I guess so.
But sometimes I have to draw the line at people like Robert De Niro. I can't watch them anymore.
You don't watch The Godfather too? Don't tell me that. I don't believe that. I don't
You
believe
know what? In my head, he's just not Robert De Niro in that
Exactly.
performance.
That's all you got to do. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, I do that.
Is just
Yeah.
throw it away. Just throw it
Yeah.
away. All right.
Yeah.
So what's your excuse for not being here Thursday? I didn't get a note or anything. What's going on?
I have a.
A
You don't
thing.
want to know my personal
A
life.
thing.
I thought. All right. Never mind.
I'm getting a shot in my back.
Oh. I thought you were.
If you really see guilt.
Okay. Last time you were at some piano playing thing. How
Oh,
was
it's
that, by the way?
wonderful.
Was it great?
It was wonderful.
Fantastic.
Look up the last winner, Yoon Chan Lim. He's an absolute genius. The winner from 3.5 years ago because
Fantastic.
of COVID. Look him up. Watch his Rock 3. It'll blow your mind.
I will do that. I will do that.
All right.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pry. I just,
Don't apologize.
I
That's
have to.
guilt.
It's-
Don't apologize.
I'm sorry.
I hope it works. I got a little pain in my back. They're gonna give me
Okay,
a shot.
it's none of
That's
my
it.
business. I don't need
I
light.
know.
Don't worry about me.
I
I'll sit in the dark.
You
Karen-
never come. You never call.
They call you, don't write. Karen,
I'll talk to you next week.
love you to
darling.
death. See you next week.
Okay.
All
Bye,
right.
See you,
Karen.
bye.
Why do I always blow everything? Why do I
You're
always?
fine. It's,
Because she was at a piano playing thing last time.
no, I know.
So, you going to another piano? No, I'm getting shots in my back. I'm like,
Oh.
why don't I just shut up? Okay. I don't even know what's next. Maybe I should look on the show sheet that Ken gave me. Oh, I'm going to think we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark
I think so.
and Angel Reese. That's next. On 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Number one for live and local conservative talk.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Whoosh.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
I have a theory. People talk loud when they want to act smart, right? Correct!
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
What are you trying to say exactly?
You weren't yelling.
I
was yelling.
All right, so I'm sure I told this story before, but just very quickly about Karen Kataline. She's our longest running guest on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Not only is she great for once a week, now we have her 2 times a week. That's how great she is. But when we first talked, the very first time, she sounded like she was fun and playful, and if she was Jewish, she said she was Jewish. So I said, Karen, can I tell you a joke with all respect? She says, absolutely. I said, okay, how many Jewish grandmothers does it take to screw in a light bulb? And she knew the answer. I'll sit in the dark. I don't need light. Don't worry about me. I'll be
Right.
fine. I was like, oh my God, that's exactly the right answer. And now she's teaching me how to be a Jew. So I'm a Jew in training.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry this is late. Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management is going to be by, I think, sometime soon. I think this week or next. And he has the absolute best approach to talking to you about your money, because nobody wants to talk about money. Nobody walks into Dunkin' Donuts and says, hey, let's talk about my money and my retirement. No, you don't even want to have it brought up. That's how scared we are and how nervous we are to do this. Well, when you go to Serenity Wealth Management, you will find out that that's not the first thing on Chris's mind. The first thing on his mind is, hey, how you doing? What are you up to? What do you like to do? What are your hobbies? What are your fun things? And then before you know it, you're finding out how to make sure you can finance that retirement that you deserve and the lifestyle that you deserve when you retire. So there's a couple of books we'd like you to get. One of them is called The New Holistic Retirement by Chris Cooper. It's free at serenitynowtax.com. And he's got a radio show right here on News Talk STL, Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock.
Full of fun with finance.
I'll be damned. SerenityNowTax.com. Serenity Now! Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Serenity Now!
News, analysis, opinion.
They're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from, St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
Cool, honey bunny. Be cool.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
All right, welcome to it. I'm Vic Porcelli. That guy there, he is Ken Williams. And I want to talk a little bit about the WNBA. Come back to your radio. Come here, come back. It all makes sense. It's all playing the hits. So let's go back to college. When Caitlin Clark was at Iowa and Angel Reese was playing for LSU. The first time they met, that was a big deal, was for the national championship 2 years ago. And when they won, Angel Reese was pointing at a ring. I get the ring. And she was like overdoing it so badly. You know?
I get it when you allude to it once.
Over and over and over again in her face, you know?
Yeah.
And then she did the "you can't see me" thing. Wave your hand in front of your face, and that's the signal for "you can't see me," which means I'm so fast.
I'm so fast.
You can't even see me. So that same incident, Angel Reese kept doing it back and forth, like 100 times. I'm like, you don't even know how to do it.
Right.
Caitlin Clark did it to, I believe, Haley Van Lith, who ironically now plays with Angel Reese on the Chicago Sky. And she got by Haley, and then real quick, one,
boom,
that quick.
One, and then didn't do it again.
That's it. See, so Angel Reese doesn't even know how to taunt the right way. So now, somehow, there's a crazy debate on who's better, Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark.
Which is really crazy because I'm not a big basketball fan, and I don't know a lot about it. But when I watch those two, if I watch 10 minutes of a game with those two in it, I know exactly who the better person is, the better player.
Yeah.
All the way around, not just the player, but her whole attitude and everything. And that's Caitlin Clark.
She's coming back tomorrow night, I believe, against the Dream. I'll be honest with you. I just watched highlights of the last few games because she's been out for a couple of weeks. And I said, am I a hypocrite? Do I only watch when Caitlin's playing? Am I a racist? I only watch when Caitlin Clark is playing? And I don't know. I mean, I don't believe I'm a racist.
No. Well, why would that even enter the conversation?
Because she's white and everybody else.
It doesn't matter, Vic.
Okay.
We don't allude to that because it's not true. Caitlin Clark's a great player.
Yeah, she is.
And I the only reason why I even looked in the direction of the WNBA recently is because of you and Caitlin Clark. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I don't play any WNBA, by the way.
No, but you're an influencer.
But they'd let me. They'd let me.
They would.
Because they let Brittany Griner play.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So, the Fever played the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese's team, over the weekend without Caitlin Clark, and the Fever blew them out 79-52.
Wow.
And Angel Reese did some weird mini fashion show before the game. Like, I don't remember that being part of anything because she really thinks she's all that, you know? So she comes out. There's no Caitlin Clark on the other team. And she poured in 4 points. That was it.
Let's see. That would be 2 baskets?
2 baskets. That's it. And
or 4 free throws.
But she had 12 rebounds. So she's supposed to be this great rebounding queen. And you know how most of her rebounds are from missed layups that she made.
Yeah, they have a nickname. I can't remember the name of it. What is that nickname that they use for her? It's like self-rebounder or something like that.
Yeah. I can't think of it either.
I'll find it.
But so that was that. So they beat the Chicago Sky, killed them without Caitlin Clark in the lineup. Caitlin comes back on Tuesday. Now, the WNBA, I started watching, obviously, because of Caitlin Clark, right? I thought she was so amazing when she was in college, and she did things that I've never even seen some men do on the shots that she takes and how far she is from the hoop and the logo threes. logo 3-pointer. And then she got into the WNBA, and I was like, oh my God, these girls are rougher than the men, the way they play. And there's a girl named Jajani Carrington. She plays for Connecticut, I believe. She did last year, at least. She's the one that when Caitlin Clark was going to take a shot, Jajani Carrington tried to block it. She couldn't block it. And then she made her fingers, put her fingers together, like her finger, the middle finger, pointer finger, and the ring finger together, and poked Caitlin Clark right in the eye.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't a mistake.
No.
She did it.
Yeah,
when
she-
you block a shot, you don't put your hand down.
No, and
you put your hand up to try to block the
and
shot.
she looked and aimed, you know.
Yeah, right at her eye.
As far as Google's not going to give me the direct name, I think,
uh-huh.
but they have Windex cleaner and rebound Barbie.
Oh God!
So I think, but there's
another word. You're right.
It was really
You're right.
good. Yeah.
So this Dejani Carrington, in a couple of games ago, she falls because the other girl had faked her out, and she falls down. On her way down, she reaps up and she grabs a fistful of this girl's hair and pulls her down by her hair. And I think she was fined. I could pay it out of my pocket, like $34 or something like that. I'm like, what kind of fine is that?
Well, when you don't make the money, you know.
Right. So when Caitlin Clark is playing, arenas are sold out. The WNBA used to play in smaller arenas, 5,000-6,000 people, and now they have to go into the NBA arenas because the crowd comes out to see Caitlin Clark. Tickets go for hundreds of dollars. The cheap seats, hundreds of dollars. Well, for this last game with the Sky and the Fever, you could get tickets for $3.
Well, let me ask you about that, because wasn't it? Didn't they go from the small venue? They said, okay, well, let's get the big venue because they're coming into town. But because Caitlin Clark didn't show up, they were all virtually just giving the tickets away because of that reason.
That's exactly why. There's no other reason why. You couldn't go in a game where Caitlin Clark is playing and get a ticket for $3, you know?
Yeah.
So the bottom line is Angel Reese, and I don't understand, but you listen to people like Jason Whitlock, who tells it like it is.
He does.
You know, okay, they put him on Fox a lot, so I guess the left hates him just because of that.
Right.
But his commentary about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is so right on. And he's not afraid to say what it is. He won't be afraid to stick up for the white girl over the black girl just because he's black.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I just don't get it, Ken. I just don't get it.
Well, again, it comes from the left. The left has no talons. They have no effect unless they divide, unless they have division. They thrive on division. I say that all the time. And the only way they can actually thrive by division is if they create this racial divide.
Right.
Right, Vic? I mean, that's the only thing. We come in and we talk about, originally, when you were talking about Caitlin Clark from the very beginning, never did we talk about race. It was
right.
like, wow, the performance of this girl, you got to check
Right.
her out.
Oh my God, Ken, you're right. I never said, hey, there's this white girl.
Never.
Right.
I mean, we never even, as far as people listening knew, that she was black. I mean, we didn't know.
Mhm.
And then it started to come up with LeBron James and all these other people saying, oh, well, she's a white girl. And, you know, they were bringing it up, and that's what the left does. That's how they thrive.
She's the reason why the WNBA gets to fly in planes from game to game instead of buses.
Right.
And they're trying to kill her. Do they want to be in an insignificant league where nobody's watching and nobody cares and you'll never make any money?
It's the same reason why corporations did the DEI stuff, even though they were losing money on it. It didn't matter. It was a goal of theirs.
Well, this next game Tuesday night, Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull should all be involved. My girl, Aliyah Boston in the middle. She has improved 1,000% from last year to this year, and it's just a really good team. All right, Jay Giles Band. They should be in the Rock and Roll Hall.
They should.
Okay. Dick Morris, a guy who, stay with me here. Dick Morris, a guy who worked with Hillary Clinton, and he's still alive. How
I
about
know.
that? Oh my God. He thinks it's a big, beautiful bill, Ken.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to Dick about that next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Number one for live and local conservative talk.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
When people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Whoosh.
All the information I need on the drive to work. Like Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Fox News commentary.
Simone Biles showed her true colors while attacking Riley Gaines and shilling for the patriarchy. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy.
Olympic female gymnast would be the first to stand up for the integrity of women and girls sports, but no, not in the case of Simone Biles. Instead, she went on a nasty tirade against women's sports defender Riley Gaines, calling her sick, a sore loser, and then going so low as to make fun of her body. All because Riley rightfully pointed out how truly sick and wrong it is for boys to compete against and hijack women's sports and spaces. Biles won't admit it, but she dang well knows if she had to compete against a biological man, she would likely have 0 gold medals. Perhaps she doesn't care to stand up for female athletes because she's already claimed her medals and it no longer directly impacts her. What's even worse than her comments are the number of Democrats who were applauding her for them. Biles once did a whole campaign about female body positivity, and now she's making fun of Riley for hers. Sick and wrong. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
This hour, The Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com.
Get a shiver in the dark, it's raining.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
I'm Newt Gingrich, and you're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show on News Talk STL.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, very much. Good morning. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Vic Porcelli. That guy there is Ken Williams. And joining us again, great to have him back, Dick Morris. Dick, great to have you back on the show. How you doing?
Oh, it's great to be here. Very good.
You know,
it's such a great station.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. You are an amazing survivalist, you know, because you worked closely with Hillary Clinton
Yep.
And you're still alive.
Yeah. Well, Roger Ailes, when he ran Fox News, used to tell me, "Am I in any danger?" And I said, "Well, I'll be like the canary in the coal mine.
Oh my
If
God.
they don't kill me, you're going to be okay."
That is so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And she's so crazy. I mean, all right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the big, beautiful bill. You think it's
Yeah.
big and beautiful, right?
Yes, I do, and I'm very disappointed that Josh Hawley is putting roadblocks in its way. Hawley says that he's doing it because he's concerned about Medicaid, but 1.5 million people on Medicaid who would be cut under this bill are here illegally. And it's one thing not to deport them, but do we actually have to pay for their medical care?
Right.
And 5 million people are on Medicaid, 5 year adults who would work for their benefits. So there really aren't serious cuts for poor people or disabled people in this bill. But let me just say this. In 2017, when Trump was first elected, there was a major meeting in the White House. And they had to decide, do we move first with the tax cut or do we move to repeal or replace Obamacare? And they chose Obamacare, and they couldn't do it because McCain stopped it.
Right.
But eventually, they did not get to passing the tax cuts until December of 2017, at the end of the year. And they did not take effect in time to affect the economy. And in the elections of 2018, the Democrats gained 40 seats and took control of the House. And unless we pass the BBB with these major tax cuts and extending those very tax cuts in 2017, we're going to face the same possibility of a wipeout in the election of 2018. And I'm sorry, I'm getting my years mixed up.
Okay.
The election in 2026.
Right.
And we'll lose control of the House, and it'll haunt us for the remaining 2 years of this term.
Well, the thing is, here's the thing to me, Dick, okay? And the mainstream media loves to push this narrative. If we say anything about Medicare cuts, which you have to qualify for, by the way, if we say, cuts to Medicare, then we hate people, right? We don't want them to live. They make us sound so mean.
Yeah, but nobody's talking about Medicare cuts. We're talking about Medicaid.
Sorry,
cuts.
I thought I said that. I meant Medicaid.
But that's it. People get it confused. Medicare will continue untouched.
Of course.
What will be touched is Medicaid. And what happened with that program was originally was basically for people in nursing homes. And since then, it's expanded and ballooned to cover 90 million people. And during the pandemic, they just signed up everybody because they wanted everybody to have some kind of insurance. Otherwise, the hospitals would be overwhelmed. And what this bill does basically is scale it back, Medicaid back to what it was before COVID hit. In other words, putting statistically, there were about 40 million people on Medicaid. Then with COVID, it rose to 90 million. And this scales it back to about 50 or 60. And it doesn't, you have to work to get benefits. And you have to, so there's not really a cut. It's just restoring it to what it was before what got bloated as a result of the pandemic.
We're talking with Dick Morris. You can find information about him at dickmorris.com and also on X. It's Dick Morris Tweet at Dick Morris Tweet. Dick,
I just want to say one other thing.
Yeah.
There is a huge amount of revenue coming in now because of Trump's tariffs.
Yeah.
The CBO estimates $2.4 trillion of money coming in over the next 10 years because of those tariffs. And that completely knocks out the argument Josh Hawley and others are making that this bill will really balloon and expand the budget deficit. It won't. In fact, it will cut the budget national debt by over $1 trillion.
Yeah, that
because there's all this new money coming in that Congressional Budget Office just started counting last week, and Hawley took his positions before that was announced.
You're exactly right, Dick. And I'll reiterate that the 2.4 trillion will actually be a budget cut overall. And something else is I want to say this again so people understand. When we talk about cuts in Medicaid, we're talking about able-bodied people who should not be on Medicaid are getting cut off of that, and in the others that aren't even supposed to be mentioned in there because they're not even alive anymore. That's what we're talking about. So it's not like we're cutting people who should be on it. It has to do with us saving money and making Medicaid work for the American people, right?
Yeah, and ultimately it's preserving Medicaid, because if you load it up with lots of illegal immigrants and people that don't need it and people who won't work for the benefits, you'll ultimately bankrupt the system. So I think Hawley is just totally off base. But politically, my point is that if we do not pass the BBB in essentially its current form, we're not going to get Congress in 2026, and Trump will be in serious trouble for the rest of his term. This is a matter of survival for him, and I think that Hawley should stop screwing around and get on board.
Well, yeah, you know what? I mean, he's done a lot for this state. I do like Josh Hawley. His concern is rural health care. Can't say that word.
Yeah, Hawley is incredible. He's wonderful, but he's off base.
Okay, well, that's fair. You know what?
Yeah,
that's
that's
all right.
fair.
I want to get back to I want to compare a couple of things with you, Dick. We're talking to Dick Morris, the famous Dick Morris, who happened to be one of the few people who worked with Hillary Clinton and managed to live through that. Social Security and Medicaid, right? Medicaid, taking the well, no, I guess you got the illegal immigrants count in there too, but people who are not entitled to Medicaid is who we're talking about, not people who absolutely need it. And Social Security, same thing. The only cuts to Social Security are going to be garnishments if you haven't paid your college loan back.
Yeah, that's right. There is no Social Security cut. You're right. It's basically treating student loan debt the same as other debt and allowing them to garnish. Let's realize when we talk about student loans that most of the controversy is for large tuition bills from elite universities. Most of the state university tuitions that are moderate and reasonable have long since been repaid or can be repaid fairly easily. It's very important to bear that in mind.
Another thing, Dick, I haven't heard people talk about, maybe I've just missed it, but I don't hear the Social Security disability insurance topic come up, because I'm telling you, there are people in this country collecting SSDI who are not hurt at all.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true. But politically, it's such a time bomb that if we did that, Democrats would hollow away cutting Social Security. But you're absolutely right. And under the Obama and Biden presidencies, anybody who complained of anything to the left of a toothache got put on SSI, and it just became huge. You know, one other thing we ought to talk about is these riots in LA. I think that this could mushroom into a real Black Lives Matter kind of thing.
Yep.
But the point is that it involves enforcing the law, and it involves illegal immigrants who commit crimes while they're here. So I think the public will be overwhelmingly in favor of what Trump is doing. And I think you should not hesitate to call out federal troops.
Yep. It's a big, beautiful bill. It's big, it's beautiful. It's a big, beautiful bill. All right. If you want to see more of Dick Morris, go to dickmorris.com. Dick, we really appreciate you coming back and talking to us because...
Thanks for letting me on. I wanted to send a message to Josh Hawley, which is, you're great, you're wonderful, you're terrific, you might even be good for president, but stop screwing around on this bill.
I'll let you say that to him.
Okay.
You go right ahead.
I'm not saying it to him. Now, Dick,
we'll do it.
We really love having you, Dick Morris, and you get him at dickmorris.com. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dick.
I love people who can play a little bit, and you're allowed to say to Dick Morris, "Hey, you worked with Hillary and you made it. You didn't die." And he mentioned somebody that said to him, "Am I going to get killed?" I forget who it was, but
and he heard the second time he heard. I think he heard the Psycho reference.
Yeah,
and started laughing.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Josh Hawley.
Well, here's my biggest problem.
Go ahead. No, I want to hear what you say, but I want to lead you into by saying I don't really know what he knows and what I don't know that Josh Hawley knows.
No, and I understand that. And there are things. See, first of all, from the Freedom Caucus mindset, I agree with that, and that we need more cuts. We need to keep cutting. We need more of them. And Donald Trump's EOs need to be codified and all this other stuff. But we need this. We need this reconciliation bill right now. And that's the thing, is that the Republicans tend to shoot themselves in the foot. They tend to have that circular firing squad that I always refer to.
Yeah, I saw that over the weekend. You wrote that.
Because it's true, Vic. I mean, let's get in line. Let's do one thing. One thing that the Democrats do really, really well is they coalesce.
Yeah,
and they
the
become
wagons.
one. They circle the wagons, however you want to, whatever metaphor you want to use. And they do it so well because they know that, there's another day where they're going to be able to do something else. And that's what the Republicans need to get this mindset, especially the conservatives, Vic. They need to get together so that they can fight another day.
Right. Let's hear what Caroline Levitt has to say about the big, beautiful bill. But Ken, it's big, it's beautiful, it's a big, beautiful bill.
And that's precisely why we need this bill to pass and to be sent to the president's desk for signature as soon as possible. Because this bill provides $1.6 trillion in mandatory savings. And when you combine that with the tariff revenue that President Trump's America First trade agenda is bringing in, nearly $3 trillion over the next 10 years, that's a projection, according to the Congressional Budget Office. And when you combine that with the Council of Economic Advisors projected growth of 3%, we're going to cut the deficit by $8 trillion over the next 10 years. And look at all of the other pro-growth economic policies this president has taken. He understands the concerns about our nation's crippling debt. That's why we need this bill to pass. It will ultimately reduce the deficit. And the president is very much focused on signing this historic piece of legislation.
Yeah.
It's big, it's beautiful, it's a big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, this is why we need to, Donald Trump's policies and the executive orders that he's trying to put in place. These are all long-term things, Vic. These are all things that, people are saying, well, the gas, prices aren't going down as much as we thought they were. Well, you know what they're going down? They're going down not artificially. If he were to just tap into the reserve, if we really wanted to get the prices down temporarily, he would have done that. But what he's trying to do is create manufacturing, create, resources in energy so that it would go down naturally and stay down. And that's what I think he's trying to do in the long term. We need to think long term, but we also need to think, let's secure some things like this bill.
We need to think long term, but we have to get that long term.
Right. And that's the only way we're going to be able to do it is if we get together.
Next year's midterms, one would think, Ken, one would possibly think that with everything that President Trump has done and is still doing, that it'd be a piece of cake. It'd be a walk, a route.
What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying, I think we should keep our eye on the ball. And I think if we say the phrases, red wave or red tsunami, that's what we should hear.
Leaning toward that.
Is that what you thought?
I thought.
Well, you were right. Big, it's beautiful. It's a big, beautiful
Big,
bill.
beautiful bill.
I don't know why I love saying it. And it makes people laugh.
Good.
When you say
It's
it.
good.
Yeah. Did you see, by the way, did you see the president's reception at the UFC?
A little bit. It was fun.
You either saw it or you didn't see it.
I did see it.
A little bit. So you saw it more than a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was a thunderous welcome. And a couple of the fighters, there's some clips of him with a couple of the fighters. One woman who put her belt over his shoulder.
Okay.
I mean, they love him.
They do. And the roars, the yelling, every time he comes in, they say, USA, USA.
Maybe they should run for office. The UFC people.
Why not?
That'd be great. And then Mark Wayne Mullen can fight Bernie Sanders.
Newstalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airwaves for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on Newstalk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
To our brave police officers and first responders, we say thank you for risking your lives to protect us. To all the incredible volunteers who've joined hands with the David Dorn Foundation to raise funds for equipment and services, we extend our heartfelt gratitude. We stand strong with our volunteers who give their time, talent, and dedication as a shield of support for those who rush into danger. The David Dorn Foundation gives a big thank you from our heart to yours. Visit dornfoundation.com and join as a volunteer.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is Newstalk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. California Governor Gavin Newsom says he plans to file a lawsuit against President Trump in response to the administration's deployment of the National Guard to confront immigration protesters who took to the streets of Los Angeles. The president deployed the Guard after protests erupted when federal immigration authorities arrested dozens of people across the city. And he says he's prepared to dispatch active duty U.S. Marines if necessary.
I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
Sunday's protests in Los Angeles were centered in several blocks of the downtown area. It was the third and most intense day of demonstrations. Also at townhall.com, the U.S. and China holding high-level trade negotiations in London.
The talks are aimed at trying to end a trade dispute that has rocked the global economy. This latest round follows negotiations in Geneva last month that brought a temporary truce in which both the U.S. and China agreed to a 90-day suspension of most of the 100% plus tariffs they had imposed on each other.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. Senate Majority Leader John Thune looking for a reset and to build momentum on President Trump's big, beautiful bill after it struggled through a tough week on Capitol Hill.
President Trump's July 4th deadline for signing the bill is slipping away as GOP senators battle each other over spending cuts and other issues in the House-passed bill. But Thune wants to get the legislation back on track by convening small working groups to hash out key components of the bill, according to Republicans familiar with his plan. Thune is hoping to build enough momentum in the Senate's various committees that the components of the bill come together in a grand compromise by the end of the month.
That's correspondent Bernie Bennett. Stocks remain mixed. The Dow dropping 35 points. The NASDAQ composite is more at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare, and I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-613-5454. 800-613-5454. 800-613-5454.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks.
A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fence Works, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fence Works, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by the Trolley Stop Bakery, the official bakery of the Vic Porcelli Show. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
For a 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour. The weather started getting rough.
We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies.
From New Jersey to Baldwin, Missouri, to behind the microphone, taking the whoosh to the radical left and the putrid swamp. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show. Here he is, Vic Porcelli.
Hello there. Hi, how are you? 3-hour tour. Dry hump day. I'm just reviewing what we heard. Okay. Douglas Blair is going to join us at 11:25. You know him. He's a PILF. PILF stands for Public Interest Legal Foundation. What's your problem? Get your mind out of the gutter. Chat box 11:41. Ken, we have to start with Rumble, or they'll be all over us.
Oh,
Rumble
sure.
People.
Yeah.
I can't believe they keep score. So Ken and I thought, why don't the veterans get a whole month? So we did something about it. I mean, give us credit. We don't have money to help pay for things for the veterans, but we do what we can. And one of the things is something we like to call Vic for Vets. And every day at this time, we highlight another veteran. And this veteran was submitted by Grant Yakey. Our buddy Grant sent this in. And it's Jesse Ray Hughes and Sergeant E5 Harry Allen. It's a tribute to SPC E4 Jesse Ray Hughes and Sergeant E5 Harry Allen. I'd like to honor the memory of my mom's cousin, Special E4 Jesse Ray Hughes. He was born on December 19th, 1944. He arrived in Vietnam on May 5th, 1965. He was killed in action while on a search and destroy mission on October 5th, 1965, when his unit was hit by Viet Cong machine gun fire. He was one of 8 young men killed in that battle. Jesse Ray was posthumously awarded the Bronze Star for his actions that day. Now, the words of Mr. Harry Allen, who was serving with Jesse Ray Hughes.
I love this.
We were in 2nd Platoon, Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, 503rd Infantry, 173rd Airborne Brigade. Jesse and I had come from Okinawa on May 5th, 1965 to Vietnam. We were both about 14 months into an 18-month Okinawa deployment. They told us we were going TDY, which is a temporary duty for 90 days. At the end of our TDY period, they told us we would be PCS, which is permanent change of station, and would have to stay for a year. Jesse was killed on October 5th, which was exactly 5 months into our year. At the end of my year, these are Harry Allen's words, in the end of my year on May 5th, 1966, I extended for 90 days because I only had a little over 5 months left in the Army, and if I came back from overseas assignment with less than 90 days left on my contract, I would be discharged early. I ended up spending about 29 months overseas and was a Sergeant E5 when discharged at 20 years and 9 months old. So he's already done all that, Ken.
Yeah.
And he's still, in his words, not able to vote or drink, but I'd run an infantry squad of 10 men for a while. He said it was 3 months before I could vote or drink. Special thank you to Harry Allen when I reached out to a little over a year ago, finding a tribute he had written about Jesse Ray on a Fallen Warrior website. He's become a very good friend, and I consider him a true American hero. Absolutely. And, you know, this Vic for Vets thing where we honor veterans every day, we couldn't do it without the enormous support of DG Firearms, Patriot Healing and Cooling, and Best Buy Flooring. So, you know, 20 years old and 9 months was when he was discharged. So how the heck young was he?
Yeah.
When he enlisted or drafted? It was 3 months before I could even vote or drink. This is the part that really astounds me, because, and I'll use the example I always use. For a while, you could be 18 and buy cigarettes. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that long ago.
Right.
So I said at 18 years old, you can vote, you can go fight and die for your country, but you can't buy cigarettes, you know, because smoking will kill you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly right. Yeah.
So
the irony.
It is. It's irony, and it's taking responsibility for your own actions and your own habits, so to speak. Something I do. I'm not proud of it, not happy about it, but that's where I am. And there's so many veterans out there who we need to honor during this month. How can people get in touch with us to have their favorite veteran honored on Vic for Vets?
It's real simple, and I hope you do this. If you think about it for a little bit, and then just simply send an email to me, ken@newstalkstl.com. That's ken@newstalkstl.com. Send any kind of information that you can, and also please send pictures, photos of any kind, because what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and label these. If you can do it, then great. But I'm going to try and label these with their names, so when we put them up on the gallery, because this is going to be an ongoing thing year round. Every week, probably on a Monday, we're going to have another feature of each veteran that we can, whether living or dead, it doesn't matter. So please send that information to me. You know you have one. Every family has a veteran that they know of in some fashion.
Jesse Ray Hughes, the late Jesse Ray Hughes, and Sergeant E5 Harry Allen, thank you so much for serving. Thank you for being a veteran. And our gratitude to you, we can't even put into words.
No.
And especially those Vietnam guys who came home not to ticker tape parades, but rather to being cursed at, being spit on, and things like that, being called baby killer.
And keep in mind that the Vic for Vets, the veterans that are highlighted in June, it's not going to stop there. Vic for Vets is an umbrella for many things we're going to try and do in the future for our veterans. We just want to do this for the veterans because they're so important to this country.
You think we don't hear people say, well, why don't veterans get a whole month? You think we don't hear that? Of course we hear that.
We heard it. Yeah, and we were frustrated by it as well. So we thought, you know what? We've got a show.
Yeah.
Let's take it upon ourselves and do it.
Right.
And now we've got a month.
We got a vehicle to get the information out on these people that are way braver than I could ever be.
Yep.
That's for sure. Okay.
In contrast, wow.
So let's talk about the riots in LA for a little bit. They are riots. Don't let anybody tell you they're peaceful protests. And by the way, media, stop it. Stop it now.
Yeah.
Stop calling it peaceful protest. Peacefully protesting is not throwing blocks of cement on the highway from the overpass. And by the way, to me, this is just me talking, I don't think peacefully protesting also includes shutting down a highway. People have to get to work. People have to get home from work. People have places to be. You shouldn't be allowed to block the highway.
What's going to happen if God forbid a family is driving and they start this stuff up again and someone dies, an innocent person? The definition of an insurrection is specific. It says a violent uprising against an authority or government. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Insurrection. And they're waving the Mexican flag. Then go home to Mexico and go wave it there. Don't wave it here, wave it there.
Well, I think what we need to be thinking about here is if they're waving this flag and telling the authorities that, no, we're taking control, that's war. That's when another country comes in and they influence the country with force. Okay, to me, that's not only an insurrection, it's an invasion.
I think they don't realize their own hypocrisy or irony when they're waving the flag of the country they want to leave to come here. You think they'd be waving an American flag?
Right.
Nothing makes sense. And then you have the left's, great representatives. I think this person, she is a U.S. representative, Norma Torres, and what potty mouth?
ICE get the out of LA so that order can be restored.
So ICE needs to get the out of
Play
LA.
it again.
ICE get the out of LA so that order can be restored.
What they're saying, this is what I'm hearing from all of these leaders in California, the Democrat leaders. So if ICE stops doing their job and leaves, then everything will get back to where it was, which means illegals will be just flooded all over California. That's okay, though. Leave.
So you bring up an interesting point, Ken. What if they just leave? What if the National Guard just leaves? There's still going to be ICE arrests and ICE deportations.
Yeah.
So
they're not going to stop. In fact, they're going to pick it up. They even said it.
So if you want to burn your city down, go right ahead. But if you hurt an ICE agent or if you hurt a police officer, you're going to pay for it. That's the only thing. That's the only way I can think of it. If you don't want the National Guard there, then A, behave, right? B, let your city crumble, because I don't really care about your city, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say that. I don't.
You care about the people there that are the innocents that are,
of course,
sitting on the sidelines going, what's going on with our town?
Right. But you know what? It's not a peaceful protest. It's a real riot.
They were literally out there protesting, carrying a foreign flag. That is absolutely insane. I mean, they're not just peaceful protesters. Well, these are illegals. These are exactly why the president is trying to secure our border.
All right. Well, carrying a flag is not illegal, as you know. And I just want to be clear. I just want to be
foreign flag while you're attacking.
Hold on.
So here's one thing. She already lost round one. Okay. If this were a boxing match, round one would have went to Oklahoma Senator Marquayne Mullen. By the way, Marquayne Mullen is the guy who wanted to fight Sean O'Brien from the Teamsters right there on the floor at Senate.
I remember that.
Yeah? You want to go? Okay, let's go. And then they get up, and then Bernie's like, sit down. You're a senator. Act like a senator. You sit down. So he proved everything that she said was false. And then when it comes down to the flag, that was her only response, was carrying a foreign flag is not a crime. But you know what? Sticking it in somebody's eye, that's a crime.
That's a crime, yeah.
Okay, good.
And I just want to be clear.
Flag, I just want to be flag while you're attacking law enforcement. Well, it's pretty bad.
That's a different question. But I just want to just state for the record that what did happen in 1992 was so different from what we're seeing now. I mean, that was a real riot that went all across the city.
What is the definition, Vic, of a real riot? I'm just wanting to.
I didn't realize there were degrees in riots.
Yeah, I didn't know either. That's the problem. I mean, I saw fire. I saw cars being burned in mass. I saw police cars being burned. I saw people getting hurt. People were getting shot at with rubber bullets. What? But you tell me, what's a riot? What is a riot?
They even have rocks being thrown onto people's cars from the overpass. I think that'd be in the riot category.
Shutting down a highway,
riot category.
Yeah.
Attacking law enforcement. I don't know. You know what? Things were different in America in 1992 than they were right now, And those Rodney King riots. Do you remember a guy named Reginald Denny?
Yeah, he was a truck driver.
That's right. They pulled him out of his semi and beat the snot out of him.
They thought he was dead. They wanted him dead.
Yeah.
They thought he was. The only reason why they stopped hitting him is because they thought, okay, we're done. He's dead. We murdered him.
All right, let's hear Gavin Newsom, who, if he thinks he's going to win a presidential election with this kind of behavior in California, boy, he's got something to learn. Illegals are rioting in the streets. No, they're not rioting.
Donald Trump is threatening to defund
California. But it's Econ 101. California is a donor state. We provide over $80 billion more in tax revenue to the federal government than the federal government provides to the people of the state of California. We help pay federal bills. So if Donald Trump's going to continue to threaten 40 million Americans that live in California, maybe we should consider withholding those resources.
So did he threaten, did President Trump threaten 40 million Californians?
No, he's not threatening anybody. He's just saying law and order is law and order.
The governor of California just said that the president of the United States threatened every person that lives in California.
He also said it was Econ 101. Play the beginning again. He's so
Donald
stupid.
Trump is threatening to defund California, but it's Econ 101. California is a donor state. We provide over $80 billion more in tax revenue to the federal government than the federal government provides.
Stop. But are those taxes coming from people who are here illegally, who aren't even on any book or any roster because they're illegal? They're undocumented. They're unauthorized.
Yeah, see, I looked all this up, and he is correct about the 80 billion more that they're putting into the coffers.
Mm-hmm.
However, Grok said that the illegal aliens siphon so much money off of through California's policies that it's creating a deficit.
Okay. If you took your house in Afton with the new shiny deck, if you took that house and you planted it in California, it'd be a $3 or $4 million house.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to pay so much for a shack that probably has one bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
One bathroom and a living room.
1.5 million for some of them.
And a kitchen. Right. So how much would your house be worth in California?
Yeah.
It'd be a mansion.
It's, so weird that you mentioned that pick your house up and put it in. Because I told Caddy after I heard all these stories, I said, you know what? If we could take our house and our property, pick it up, put it right down there on the beach in California, I'd say, no, we're not doing it.
You said that?
I said exactly that.
This weekend?
Yes.
I read your mind.
You did.
I'm a mind reader.
You are. Clairvoyant.
Who's clairvoyant?
That's some girl old girlfriend.
Okay.
Claire.
Where's my... Okay. All right, let's move ahead to number 14, Ken.
Okay.
Because this guy, Spartacus, you can't be this stupid. You have to be able to look at what's going on and then look at what you're saying or listen to what you're saying and realize that you're ridiculous.
We see peaceful protests launching in Los Angeles. And again,
peaceful protests. Was it the Waymo cars that were?
Yeah, they were peacefully being burned.
By the way, can I just say something about Waymo cars?
Yeah.
I had no idea what that word meant. There's no reason for me to know what a Waymo car
No, I had
is.
to look it up.
Right.
Yeah.
But people got to be hipsters. I hate hipsters.
I know. Yeah.
And they got to say Waymo because I know what it means. But if you don't know what it means, then you're not smart, dude.
So if I would have entered a conversation with you today first and said, hey, those Waymos were getting burned, you would have looked at me and said, don't be a hipster. Just shut up.
I would have.
You would have.
So Waymo cars are cars that go by themselves.
Right.
Why can't they just say that?
They're autonomous vehicles.
Why can't they say the autonomous Waymos? There's a way to say it.
The autonomous Waymo vehicles.
Right. There's a way to, just like that. Would have been perfect to let me know what a Waymo was.
Right.
Without being a freaking hipster. God, I hate hipsters. Go ahead.
any violence against police officers should not be accepted. Local authorities can handle that.
Okay, that's a big deal right there. When he said local authorities can handle that, so don't come in here. We come to find out the chiefs were saying, no, we really can't handle it.
It's Cory Booker, by the way, who was the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey is where all my family is from.
Yeah.
In the first ward there. And they're all Italians. Everybody in that whole neighborhood was Italians. And when on Sundays, in the Italian culture, Sundays you go see grandma, right?
Right.
So Sundays we go down to grandma. She lived on 7th Street in Newark. And after we ate and everything, the aunts would talk in the kitchen, the uncles would watch football, and then the cousins, all of us, would just go out. We just go outside.
Yeah.
And we went around the corner, 7th Street and then First Avenue, and then another quick right on 8th, and we would hang out there, right there at 8th Street and First Avenue. And nobody worried about where we were.
Right.
It got dark. We didn't get yelled at for coming back late. Where were you? Oh, we're in front of the Finish Line restaurant. Oh, okay, well, that's fine. Finish Line restaurant was like mafia hub in New Jersey. A restaurant that just happened to be right around the corner from my grandfather's house.
Yeah.
And there's a YouTube special you could watch on the New Jersey mob, and they'll show the Finish Line restaurant. And then if you pause it and you look over the top of the restaurant, you can see the peak of my grandfather's house right behind it.
Wow.
But anyway, my point is, it was a safe city. And now it's not anymore. It's just not. I mean, they had a conversation this morning about the Battlehawks. They only brought in 27,000 people for the conference championship.
I know.
And why is that? Well, because the city sucks and the city's not safe. Keep playing your games and you're going to lose teams, you're going to lose companies, you're going to lose everything. And then St. Louis City will be, when you see the worst of the worst cities on television.
Yeah.
They're going to show us.
Right.
Great. Fantastic. Idiots. They're idiots, man.
That's the bottom line. They are.
Saturday night, 6 to 9 o'clock. JC's Wayback Machine. Great music you just don't hear on the radio anymore in St. Louis. Fun stories from the past, fun clips from the past, and some great A+ interviews all happening Saturday night, 6 to 9. JC's Wayback Machine, brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Doug Blair is next.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Vic and Ken. Ken can recite the alphabet backwards. Vic can recite the alphabet forwards. The Vic Porcelli Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Fantastic. Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 101.9. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers, sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Irrigation systems are put through the stress test throughout our hot Heartland summers when temperatures skyrocket and rain is scarce. Tim Jones here for Hydrodynamics Core, which you should call today to make sure your irrigation system is running at peak performance. This is critical to ensure your lawn and foliage remain lush and lovely and that your grass and plants thrive instead of just barely survive. Schedule a monthly system checkup today with Hydrodynamics Core to make sure your irrigation system is working at its best. That's hydrodynamicscore.com, hydrodynamicscore.com.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hi, Brad.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
After I signed the PAC Act into law.
Crack-a-lackin'! You're speaking my crack-a-lackin' language.
The PAC Act.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Yeah, that was a great president. All right, so very quickly here, pull the curtain back a little bit. When this song starts, what else am I supposed to think about than Phoebe Cates in Fast Times at
Right.
Ridgemont Highway? Because, hi, Brad. And then she opens her thing, and all the VHS tapes back then were all like worn out for that.
Oh,
They would
absolutely.
keep rewinding. But I missed my cue, as you say it right at the beginning, because I was watching this new razor where you can shave your head. Do you shave your head with shaving cream and a razor, or an
Yeah, I
electric
do.
razor?
I do in the shower every day.
With just a razor.
Yeah.
And shaving cream.
Right.
How do you see? How do you
I have a mirror.
how
It's
do you see
lighted.
the top of your head, mirror or not?
Oh no, I just feel that's all feel.
Huh.
Yeah, that's all feel. I'm used to it. I've been doing it for over 20 years. So
Okay.
This just in. For the latest news from the DC swamp and beyond, this is the Vic Porcelli Show East Coast Report with Douglas Blair on News Talk STL.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Douglas Blair from the Public Interest Legal Foundation. That spells out PILF. Hi, Doug. How are you?
There it is. I'm doing good, Vic. How are you doing?
We're good. Stop making fun of us, okay? We have to have some fun here. So,
That's true.
yesterday, the Jewish group in Boulder, Colorado, had their celebration. Right? They're trying to keep people from knowing what happened back in the 30s and the 40s by Nazi Germany, and this maniac guy who doesn't even belong here from Egypt disrupts it with the Molotov cocktails and all that. And now they're trying to deport his family, who are also not supposed to be here, right?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like this is a pretty open and shut case that illegals shouldn't be here in the first place. And then if you're an illegal that commits a crime, you also shouldn't be here. And like you extra shouldn't be here. But as we've seen by the rioting going on in LA right now, and the fact that they're burning cars and attacking police officers over the ability to make sure that illegals stay in this country, I think that we can see the left has completely lost the plot.
So you reposted a post on X by Greg Scott, who was commenting on the USA Today, talking about the Boulder suspect's daughter dreamed of studying medicine. Now she faces deportation. But Greg Scott says another chapter in the "You Don't Hate the Media Enough" saga, because they don't mention that she's not supposed to be here. Hate the media enough saga, because they don't mention that she's not. I'm sorry, Doug, I didn't hear you. Can you say it again? Say it again.
Yeah, I know. I said this is always the problem with this type of story, where the media is almost as bad of an enemy as the actual illegals themselves, right? Where like you're fighting to maintain some sense of law in this country, and the media that is supposed to be reporting on the truth, the media that is supposed to be informing the public, is instead engaging in a campaign of deception and lies and propaganda. Yeah, I think Greg was absolutely correct when he put that point out there that like the media is making this worse than it needs to be. Because if you hear on the face of it, this is a person who is not supposed to be in this country in the first place. She should have been deported anyway, but also her relative literally just firebombed a bunch of Jews. You can basically make the conclusion that this person should be deported, but the media is going to try and pretend that she has her whole life ahead of her and that this is an innocent and that there's nothing wrong with her staying here. And then, you know, when you learn the truth, you become more and more frustrated with the fact that there's a media that is not doing its diligence.
It's also ridiculous, Doug. It's like if a guy walks into a bank with a gun and says, you know, empty the drawer, give me all your money, and then he gets arrested, and him saying, oh, I didn't know this is against the law. I had no idea that robbing a bank was against the law. A crime is a crime, and being here illegally, is a crime.
Right. And again, I think that this is somewhat frustrating too, because as you can recognize, people are very upset about the fact that immigration has basically been treated as an afterthought by both parties for the last 50 years. If you can look at the number of illegals that have come into the country, specifically of the last 4 years under our former president, people are genuinely pissed off. And then when Trump takes action to alleviate the problem, they support it. Obviously, polling data bears this out. But it is so weird that, like, again, it's a crime that everybody knows is a crime, and yet you have one side of the spectrum that refuses to acknowledge that this is illegal behavior. We're couching the language in something else. They're not illegal immigrants anymore. They're undocumented immigrants. This isn't an illegal child. It's a DACA recipient, right? Like it's this sanitization of language that, again, the media is playing out and is like trying to push, that is really getting Americans pissed off and frustrated that nothing seems to be changing, and that, again, the media is pushing against the narrative that the American people want.
So, where you work, the public, tell me
Public
what
Interest Legal Foundation.
Public
Check us out
Interest.
on publicinterestlegal.org.
So what are the conversations, Doug? Like, you guys must have had a discussion about this already this morning, right? About what's going on in LA, what happened in Colorado. What's the conversation like?
Well, the biggest part of this is that we want to make sure these people aren't on voter rolls, which some states make it easy for us to do, and other states do not. So I'll give you an example of a state that is not giving us a good time, and this actually might be shocking for you guys. It's Utah. Utah, which is considered to be one of the more conservative states in the union, right? Voted for Donald Trump both times. It's got Republican leadership at the top and mostly in the House, but they actually make it incredibly difficult for organizations like Public Interest Legal Foundation to inspect their voter rolls. They cover up about 30 to 40% of voter information, which makes us basically unable to do audits. So we are of the philosophy that in our line of work, you will always find issues with voter rolls, whether that's dead voters that are still registered as active voters, whether that's illegal voters that are on the list, people who are non-citizens who are on active voter rolls. And so it's our responsibility and it's our job to go out and inform these places, hey, here's the problem with your voter rolls. You should probably fix this before this person gets a vote or before you have an election, because that could cause some problems. Utah, a Republican state, is making that incredibly difficult. So we're suing them. We're suing the lieutenant governor to get access to these voter rolls. But like, that's the conversation we're having. These illegals could be on the voter rolls and you would never know.
So there's one thing that really annoys me at what you just said. Dead voters. I mean, this is an Al Capone thing. They used to do this back when Capone was alive. And we're in the year 2025, 21st century, technology, AI, all that crap. And we can't keep people who are dead from for voting?
Well, it's not that we can't, it's that we won't. And again, I think it's a matter of will more than it is a matter that they can't actually do it. So
I agree.
We actually just finished up with Michigan and Wisconsin and all of these other states that were pretty important during the 2024 election. And it was a matter of they just hadn't bothered to look at their voter rolls. And when we reminded certain jurisdictions in Wisconsin, like Madison, you are constitutionally and federally obligated to update your voter rolls and make sure that your voter rolls are clean. They actually did listen to us. So it's not like we're screaming into the wind. But there are places, like I said, Utah, Michigan, we have places like Maine and South Carolina that are also trying to push us away and trying to basically say, oh, we don't actually have to do that. It is a matter of they just don't want to. It's not a matter of they can't. They don't say that they don't have the capacity to do it. They just refuse flat out.
Arizona must be on your list, right?
Yes. So we actually released a video a couple of years ago. I think we talked about it on this show, actually, where we went around Arizona and we went to some places that people had registered to vote. And wouldn't you know it, it was a cemetery or it was a strip club or it was a 7-Eleven. And you walk inside and you say, hey, does John Smith live here? And they kind of look at you like you're crazy. But then you tell them, hey, he's registered to vote here. So does he live here or not? And I think it's a matter of, again, this is just laziness. It's not a matter of, oh, well, it takes too much time. We just don't have the resources to do it. Oh, it'll cost us too much money. It's you just don't care. You don't care to update your voter rolls. You don't care to make sure that these things are clean. And that has really, really important impacts on our elections.
It makes me crazy. I mean, it really makes me crazy. All right, Doug, give us the website again.
Publicinterestlegal.org.
All right, you guys keep fighting the good fight, okay?
Appreciate it.
All right, Douglas K. Blair on X, and you can also go to at PIL Foundation. What am I supposed to do? And find out more about the Public Interest Legal Foundation. Hi, Brad. Okay, the chat box is next. It's so hard keeping these chat box people happy, I swear to God.
But you do it. You try. That's the most important part.
Do you read the things?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Facebook first again?
I love it.
I do too. All right, chat box is next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
We demand a lower work week, 32-hour work week.
Very well, we'll give them shorter hours. We'll start by cutting their lunch hour to 20 minutes.
The Vic Porcelli Show. Colombo and Company.
Week 2 of the special session in Jeff City is underway. We'll get you the latest Monday, plus Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire, Paul Kurtman, and AI expert Mike McCleary.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Happy Father's Day!
For Father's Day, families everywhere giving dads 40% of the effort they put into Mother's Day.
Dad, I love you.
I appreciate everything you've done for me and all the sacrifices.
I love you, Dad. Happy Father's Day!
Happy Father's Day for everybody.
Happy Father's Day!
My father's a hero.
Thank you for everything, Pops.
Happy Father's Day from some of Dad's favorites. Iron Bear Customs, Patriot Powder Coating, Tropical World Beds, and News Talk STL.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Never rat on your friends and always keep your mouth shut.
News Talk STL.
All right. Thank you, Ken. This is from my, anytime you hear this song, it's called Jessica by the Allman Brothers Band. It's from my wife, okay?
That's right.
You got a wife named Jessica, find a different song. This is, you could use it.
You could
Go
ahead.
For a small fee, we'll let you use it. All right, Kenny, I guess we're ready. Chat box, Rumble first. And Barry says, where is everybody? What the hell?
Well, I was late.
Oh.
Not my fault.
Nope.
It's not always my fault when it happens.
They're hiding. It says they're hiding. Am I first after the live feed came on? Oh my God. Now there's criteria if you're first before we're there or not there. Because you can still comment before the stream comes up.
Yeah.
And boy, do our listeners take advantage of that. Which is fine. We
I
love
it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. No fair election.
No peace.
No fair tariff.
No peace. And by the way, that's what they were reciting. No justice, no peace.
That's why we do it.
Justice, no.
That's why we do that.
I know.
I thought, honestly, Ken, I thought we were going to get yelled at for doing that.
Oh, really?
I did. We didn't.
No.
Which is the beauty of this radio station.
I know.
Nobody tells us what to do. Well, Ken does. Ken tells me what to do all the time. I'm getting sick of him, to tell you the truth. President Trump, as they say, let's go. We're ready and got your back. If Rob's right and Scheinbaum is supporting rioting on our soil, who's Rob? Who did we talk to named Rob today?
Rob Bluey.
Yes. If Rob's right and Scheinbaum is supporting rioting on our soil, we all need to get on all the U.S. companies who want to ship jobs there. That's 100% insupportable now. That's such a great point. Such a great point by Childless Cat Lady. Because if you want to screw around and you want to stick up for people just because you hate Donald Trump, then guess what? When he starts pulling companies out of your country, I don't want to hear a word.
Right.
Not a word.
No.
Shut your face.
Yep.
Shut your pie hole. Shut that hole in your face.
And the funny thing is, he ran on all this.
Uh-huh.
Everything Donald Trump is doing, he said he was going to do.
That's right.
And he's going to even be doing more of it as we go along here.
Yep. The AP style book is a sham. Oh, that's because of peaceful protest, I guess. And rioting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And undocumented and all that crap. They suspended Moron Moran because of George Stephanopoulos lawsuit and CBS lawsuit. That's what it is, Ken. That's exactly what it is. ABC News didn't finally have a heart and say, hey, you got to stop yelling at President Trump or we're going to suspend you. They don't want to get sued and lose like ABC did before.
Spot on. And remember, the last 4 years you and I have been talking about, what can we do without infringing on the First Amendment to make these people understand that they can't say the things they're saying? I think Donald Trump found the cure is take away their money and they're going to get in line a little bit better.
And I think that we were right on about the First Amendment part.
Oh, yeah.
We never said arrest them.
No.
Could you imagine? Oh, my God.
Oh.
Then I would be Hitler.
Right.
Yeah. Might need to rename that poop to that's a crockett poop. Crock of poop.
That's a crock of poop.
Crock of poop.
That's a crock of crap.
Peacefully protesting.
Crockett of crap.
Dog whistle to keep going and do more. And to come on to LA and throw rocks at people. The government stylings of Karen Bass. Correct! These aren't protesters, they're terrorists. This is terrorism. Yes.
It is.
The little boy who cried wolf. I guess that's Gavin. Don't know.
It can be any of them, but it can be Booker.
Yeah. Diluting the Hitler message is the plan of the leftists, Ken! Exclamation point.
I agree with that.
The way they can use his tactics against the American people, same ones they've taught us to be stupid via public education. And their stupid sheeple followers will allow them to shuffle them all off the cattle cars. So, because my first thought this morning, because I know, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, but people here say that you care about what I say. So when things like this happen, you want to know what I'm thinking, right? So we banged that out right off the bat this morning, and I said that this part of the plan here was for them to riot enough for Donald Trump to react and deploy National Guard so that they can say, look, he's Hitler and he's sending in the brown shirts.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Couldn't agree more with that. They've got a plan. It's that thriving by division that they always do.
Ed asks 101, hey, what are you saying? Can you clarify? And he says, leftists only care about control, LBJ's Great Society effectively removed fathers from black homes, and the NEA and the AFT have effectively downsized the nation's youthful intellect since 1980. We talked to Terris Todd. The more we talk to him, the more I like him.
Yeah, I
Terris.
think he's really good.
And his whole thing he wrote an article on this week was, we need to have fathers in the black homes. It can't be any more succinct than that.
Yeah, and it's not exclusive to black homes, but that was the conversation we were having. You know, that's where some people get confused. Fathers need to be in every home. And we were discussing nuclear families. Of course, we got comments you'll see on there about that. And I'll go over it then.
I think the percentage of families, what am I trying to say here? The percentage of black families without the father is higher than any other demographic.
And it could be, yeah.
So that's what I think the problem is. Nancy denied Trump's offer of National Guard, said she didn't want them. Gonna sue.
Isn't it funny how the left is really clinging to J6 right now because of these riots happening? You got Burton, you got another Scooter on there. They're saying, "Oh, but what about J6?"
Yeah,
screw J6. You know, we got riots going on right now, so just be quiet about it.
So Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew.
I believe he's a Nepo Newsom. That's a nickname.
What could possibly go wrong? Please show them cutesy time is now over. Yes. Get him, Mr. President. Oh, here's a note right to me. Vic, I was a bit of a rebel rouser in my younger years, but I was way more afraid of my dad than I ever was of the law.
Yep.
He loved me and cared for us all, but you didn't dare cross him. We brought this up this morning. My father didn't have to say a word, man. If he had that face, I just went to my room and did jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah.
That was it. I should say I respected him more than actually feared him. It's a healthy fear.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a healthy fear of your dad, because if you do something wrong, he's supposed to yell at you. That's how it works.
Now, it is a little bit different today than it was then, whereas, you know, my dad, he had 8 kids. He didn't have time to negotiate. He had a belt, okay? And if you got out of line too badly, he'd say, just go in the other room. I'll meet you in there. And you knew you were in trouble.
Son number 1, get off your belt and beat son number 2. Son number 9. Right?
Right.
Discipline each other. Pull kids away from their parents, hurt the family unit, but don't arrest a gang member who they say is a dad. Don't pull illegal kids away and deport idiotic hypocrites.
What about that, Vic? Every day, people are incarcerated. Americans are incarcerated because they do criminal activity, and they're taken away from their family. They're taken away from their dog. They're taken away from everybody that they know to go to jail. Okay, well, that's just what we're doing with illegal aliens. That's all.
Do you remember the name Elian Gonzalez?
Yes. Elian, yes.
Janet Reno was the attorney general at the time. Bill Clinton was president. Nobody cared that they scared the hell out of this kid with guns in a clothes closet and sent him back to Cuba.
And that's the picture they were using actually on social media. The poor little guy was in who was that holding him? It was somebody was holding him, and
somebody was hiding him.
I think it was a relative.
Yeah.
Was hiding because they didn't want him to leave. They didn't want him to go back to Cuba.
Right.
And you know, the whole thing was there were court settings and everything.
Oh, absolutely. But the point is, it's the left that sent them back to Cuba.
Right.
Payday loans hurt one of my family who were desperate, and then the family had to step up in when they were about to be homeless. Payday loans, I was not kidding when we were talking to, I think it was Rob Bluey. No, it was Terris Todd.
It was Terris, yeah.
When I said getting a loan at one of these payday places, these payday loan places, it's cheaper to borrow money from the mob.
Yeah, it is. There should be, I think that should be a focus. We talked about the HUD, director earlier. I think it should be one of his focuses.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I noticed it has at least one fast food restaurant in town offered daily pay. Hopefully that helps people stay away from payday lenders. And this all came up because of Donna Jackson, frequent contributor to this show, who says some black families, they don't live paycheck to paycheck. They live paycheck to Wednesday. And then what? Then they go and borrow money from these.
And I think depending upon the community that this fast food restaurant, any fast food, any small business is in, if they feel like that's necessary to do something like that, I think it's great.
Who is a bigger racist, LBJ or Joe Biden?
Wow, that's kind of a hard question, actually.
About that even. Two peas from the same racist pod, you bet.
Yeah.
Both of them were the same. Ask Joe, he'll tell you he was there with LBJ. He's not kidding. Not a joke.
Not a joke.
And it's not a joke. Okay. If you're going to do your Joe Biden, you have to say, not a joke. Not no joke. Not a joke.
Exponentially.
And you also, when you see those funny things of a dog dressed up like a lawyer with a suit and tie on, and it says, if your master broke a treat in half and tried to pull it off as a full treat, you may be available for substantial compensation. The word substantial makes it funny.
Right.
I can't teach comedy. I'm too busy.
Oh, and I got to tell you what I just did with Rudy and Nico. Okay, so I give them treats, right? But I only give Nico a half a treat because he's getting fat. So I give a full bone to Rudy, right?
Yeah.
But now what I've been doing lately, and it works every time, it's crazy. I'll hold the half one and the full one up to both of them, and I'll go to Rudy first, and he'll look at it and he'll grab that full one every time.
How does that help?
Which
one's the fat one? Nico.
Yeah, so Rudy
How does that help Nico's situation?
Well, it doesn't.
Nico's like, hey, I still only got a half.
I don't think Nico cares. I think he's
Dogs are so stupid because they have no sense of time whatsoever.
But Rudy knew about the full versus half one.
Right. Wanna Eve, the WNBA succeed. I don't know what that means. Barry, you spelled something wrong there. Help me out. Yeah, cat fight, Jello or mud wrestling, bikini basketball in a Jello filled tub. What's the matter with you sexists? Even though I would like to say that women's beach volleyball is the greatest sport ever invented. I can't read all these. I can't.
We actually played bars where they had pudding wrestling.
You're disgusting.
I'm just telling you what they did.
Looks like more of the same crap going on in California. Illegals can do whatever they want, and the hell with law and order. The closest comparative is J6. All of the criminals were pardoned on day one. Good morning, everybody. The Olympics need to pull out of L.A. And not to mention, the World Cup is there this year, I think, or next year, and then the Summer Olympics in 28. Mayor Bass was elected, not hired. What is that supposed to mean, Scooter? J6 did not shut down the highways, burn vehicles, bring cinder blocks and hammers, and throw rocks on people. It would be Kimberly Kowalski.
Hey, how you doing?
It would be beneficial for all listeners to hear their chiefs of police on your show verify what their police policies are regarding stand down orders. STL had the night David Dorn. Oh God, yep. David Dorn was killed. Citizens need to know whether it's a free for all and protect yourself with their individual police.
See, that is a huge deal, and I agree with that. We need to find out what the hell happened then and not do it ever again.
Right. Martial law. That's what dictators do. Okay, it's not going to be martial law. Dictators take away parental right. Good morning. Kash Patel said that when Biden administration took over, they told the FBI that climate change was the biggest threat to America, not terrorists. Wait a minute. I thought white supremacy was the big thing.
Our parents at school board meetings.
Yeah. Thank you for your service to our veteran that we honored at 11:05. More of that tomorrow. I don't have time to get into some of these. Michael Burton, I'm sorry. I'd fight with you, but I can't right now because we got to go. So thank you so much for having the record player on at night to listen to us this morning.
Make sure you have the record player on at night.
He never should have made it past that point, Joe Biden.
No.
When he said that. That should have been the end of it. Tim Jones in for Jamie Allman?
Yeah.
Well,
martinis for Tim Jones.
Whoosh, my speaker. He's next. We'll see you tomorrow.
Whoosh.
Another RX
Ready for
launch
instant
brought to
curb
you
appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA, so we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Another RX Watch, brought to you by Onder Law.
Welcome back to RX Watch. This alert is disturbing.
Right. A while back, we learned that companies like Johnson & Johnson use a mineral called talc in baby powder and other products.
And studies show that talc, when used for feminine hygiene, can cause ovarian cancer.
Now listen to this. RX Watch has learned that the talc they use is being mined in China.
Right, and talc mined in China contains heavy metal contaminants like chromium and magnesium, which are known to cause cancer. But China doesn't care.
So China gets the jobs and we get contaminated talc in our baby powder.
And ovarian cancer.
Right. With their specialized tests, the medical team at Onder Law can help you know if your ovarian cancer was caused by talc.
Onder Law has helped women for years with free and confidential consultation. You need to call Onder Law's pharma attorneys at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
That's 1-800-RX-WATCH, or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based